to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Special edition of the Steve Gruber Show coming to you live from Washington, D.C. And look, in this town, there's not much that people agree on, but I think they will agree on this. The healthcare system, or the way we pay for healthcare in America, it's broken. Obamacare failed. Of course, I think it failed by design. I think that was the intention, to try to get us to a single-payer system. My next guest, an old friend, Tim Murtaugh, was a Trump 2024 senior advisor and Trump's 2020 comms director. He joins me now. Tim, good morning.
Morning, Steve. Great to be with you again. Good to see you. Happy December.
Good to see you. Not a single Republican voted for Obamacare, and yet the Democrats are there blaming the Republicans. It's so predictable of what they're going to do. But the fact is, Obamacare fails. Insurance companies have gotten rich. In Michigan, the director of Blue Cross Blue Shield, he took a pay cut last year, Tim. Now, I don't want you to be too upset. He only made $14.5 million. Well, many people could not afford health care. The system doesn't work. Donald Trump's come out with this idea of health savings accounts, which I think is a great idea. At least it's worthy of a conversation. I mean, these insurance companies are playing fast and loose with the truth and getting rich the whole time, aren't they?
Yeah, they absolutely are. You mentioned President Trump and how he came out in favor of, instead of redirecting all these really trillions of dollars throughout the course of all of this, trillions of dollars that went from the taxpayers of the United States straight into the hands of the health insurance companies. And so you're exactly right, Steve. President Trump is on the case here, talking about health insurance, health savings accounts. Let me read some of his posts on Truth Social here, just parts of them. Money spent on insurance should be, quote, sent, this is in all caps, caps, of course, in classic Trump form, sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care. Here's another one. The only health care I will support or approve is sending the money directly back to the people with nothing going to the big, fat, rich insurance companies who have made trillions and ripped off America long enough. And you're exactly right, Steve. When Obamacare passed, it passed with all Democrat votes, not one single Republican vote. When Joe Biden's poorly named Inflation Reduction Act passed, it passed with all Democrat votes, not one single Republican vote in either the House or the Senate for either one of those two monstrosities. And so what is going on now? These health insurance companies are returning to the favor to Democrats after raking in trillions of dollars from the American taxpayers, thanks to Democrats. What are these health insurance companies doing now? They are bankrolling Gavin Newsom's efforts in California to throw Republicans out of Congress. Health insurance companies are paying for Prop 50, all the political efforts around Prop 50, which is the redistricting in California. Health insurance companies are financing that to a large degree with giant checks to Gavin Newsom's political operation out there, trying to throw Republicans out of Congress. It's payback for the trillions of dollars that Democrats have given them over the course of decades.
I was talking to a member of Congress yesterday, a Republican, and he said, isn't it ironic that when I was running for office, and he won his seat when he was running for office in a pretty competitive district, he couldn't get anybody in the insurance industry to return his phone calls. He said, people I've known for years just ghosted me until he got elected. And they said, hey, how can we help? Isn't that remarkable? As soon as he won, all of a sudden the insurance companies are back with all their money and all their lobbyists and all their efforts to protect their bottom line. Right? I mean, let's make insurance companies compete with each other so that the consumer wins. That's a pretty smart idea, isn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And the president's idea of diverting all this trillions of dollars over the course of time, diverting that taxpayer money away from insurance companies and back to the taxpayers. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. And the idea would be, of course, to keep the insurance companies away from this. Remember that this record-long shutdown that we just came through was all because Democrats were shutting it down to try to protect subsidies for Obamacare. And so while they're trying now, everyone has, I'm sure, nightmare stories that they can tell about health insurance. And what's going on here, premiums keep going up and the coverage keeps getting worse. So you're paying more and more for less and less coverage. And the coverage that you do get, you have to jump through all kinds of hoops to satisfy their demands, the insurance company demands. And so by the end of it, you feel like you just had a fitness guru on here. You feel like you've probably run a marathon by the time you get whatever procedure you need covered. The health insurance companies have made trillions thanks to Democrats steering the money to them. And now the health insurance companies are repaying the favor by bankrolling Gavin Newsom's efforts to throw Republicans out of Congress. It's astounding. Now that Congress is back in session, Republicans in Congress need to remember this, what the health insurance companies are doing and have done and whose side they're on. It's not the American people's side. It's the Democrats. It's all politics.
Well, they're not on the consumer side, that's for sure. And so if they're bankrolling in California, Tim, they're obviously going to try to bankroll 2026 if a better solution isn't in place ahead of time. And that's why I say we've got to get this done now. We've got to move forward with this. And for me, that means the filibuster should go away to get these things done. We'll see if that happens. But it just reflects a bigger problem in this city that I'm in, and that is lobbyists and lobbyist money determining what happens, and not the voter, not the consumer, not the American citizen.
Yeah, that's it. And there's a couple of senators here. Bill Cassidy. There are other plans. Bill Cassidy and Mike Crapo have a piece of legislation for these health savings accounts, which would actually cut these health insurance companies out of the equation. And who we're talking about here in California, the ones who are bankrolling the redistricting effort there and Gavin Newsom's plan to throw Republicans out of Congress. We're talking about Blue Shield of California, which of course is major, and United Health. That may be a familiar name to a lot of your viewers, Steve. It is the largest health insurance company in the United States, United Health, and they are on board, as well as Blue Shield of California and others, with throwing Republicans out of Congress with Gavin Newsom. That's what the health insurance companies are up to after they've already gotten their trillions in taxpayer money through Democrat help with Obamacare and the Inflation Reduction Act.
We only have about 20 seconds here, Tim, but can it get done? Can we get this done for the American people? Last question to you.
Sure thing. I think it'll actually be a dare for the Democrats. Let's call the bluff on it. They say they want action on health care. Here's something that every American can get behind, giving cash directly to the people, cutting out the insurance companies. Let's see the Democrats put their money where their mouth is. I doubt they'll do it, but that's a plan that could work. President Trump is clearly already behind that based on his social media posts.
Tim Murtaugh, nice seeing you today, Tim.
Good to see you, Steve. Thanks very much.
It's an important topic, my friends. How do you feel about it? Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you think about health insurance, how it should be improved so it works for you. stevegruber.com. I'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
Well, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says it's time to ban people coming from a number of countries so we don't flood our nation with people like the Afghan who gunned down National Guard members in Washington, D.C. Kristi Noem announcing yesterday, following a meeting with Donald Trump, that she is recommending a sweeping travel ban on every country that she believes is sending dangerous immigrants to the United States. Every single country, not just one or the other. Noem made the announcement on a fiery post on X denouncing certain immigrants as killers and leeches. I just met with President Trump. I'm recommending a full travel ban on every damn country that's been flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. She says those immigrants are a threat to this nation. And I think we see that on a fairly regular basis. She slammed certain immigrants as threats to public safety, accused them of draining resources meant for Americans. We've seen that. We see it every day. Draining resources that are meant to benefit Americans, build our infrastructure, protect our nation. And yet during the previous administration, they let 20 million people flood in, many of them completely unvetted, and then unleash them on the United States. It's reprehensible, to say the least. We'll see where this goes. And predictably, I will tell you that today the Democrats will come out and call her xenophobic and racist and a Nazi and a fascist. All the typical labels will come out today. It's automatic. It's what they do. Oh, there's an idea we don't like. Let's just call her racist so we can, minimize what she is. It's cold in the nation's capital today. I left about 8 inches of snow when I flew to D.C. on Sunday. What does that mean? It means it's muskox season. Muskox, the best flannel shirts you're ever going to own. I guarantee you, folks, if you want to put something really nice under the tree for Christmas, it's muskox. Go muskox.com. Every time you buy a muskox shirt, and by the way, I've got a couple of them. They are my go-to. They are my favorite. They are the best. Double-brushed cotton, soft as silk, durable as steel. And I go to them every single time because they are the all-weather gear for fall and winter. And if it's cold where you are, you want a muskox, go muskox.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save $15 on your muskox today. Go muskox.com. Promo code Gruber, save $15. All right, coming up on the program, we're going to be here in D.C. talking about the radical left trying to destroy a young conservative in Tennessee. What's that about? Stick with us and follow us on YouTube every day. It's the Steve Gruber Show.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Ahead on American Sunrise Early Edition, the multi-front attack on the U.S. military chain of command continues. The effort to accuse Secretary of War Pete Hegseth with war crimes in connection to our attacks on drug boats in the Caribbean is the latest, but they've already lost that battle. President Trump is defending Hegseth, and the facts against him don't add up. It's now a full-blown scandal in Minnesota as hundreds of government workers in that state say they warned Governor Tim Walz about federal aid money being stolen by the Somali community. They even warned Kamala Harris about it after she chose Walz as her running mate last year. Nothing changed. You know, it's election day right now in deep red Tennessee, but the special election to fill a vacant House seat representing the Nashville area is a dead heat according to the polls. Will a radical Democrat pull off a big upset? The White House releases the results of President Trump's latest MRI, showing the president to be in very good health for an 80-year-old man. This comes as the Democrats and their mainstream media minions try to suggest Trump is not well. And isn't owning the Mets enough of a long shot bet as it is? New York State awards Mets owner Steve Cohen the right to build a massive casino next to the Mets ballpark. It's yet another example of the unholy marriage between sports and gambling. and the cynicism politicians have about the American public. American Sunrise Early Edition begins now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
Your good deeds and bad deeds. That's how we're going to judge you.
Join host Jake Novak as he breaks down the stories that matter.
We will be letting the public know regularly what we have found.
American Sunrise Early Edition with your host, Jake Novak, starts now.
Welcome to a Tuesday here in American Sunrise Early Edition. A lot of stuff to get to in our program, so let's get right to it with Jarrett Stepman. He's a columnist for the Daily Signal. And Jarrett, I'm annoyed to even have to entertain this entire line of narrative, but the mainstream media and the Democrats have brought us here, and silence sort of equals agreement, so we're not going to be silent here. But the media is totally all in with the Democrats on what I believe is an incredibly misguided but probably funded decision to fully defend drug cartels in Venezuela. Here's how President Trump, though, is defending what has now turned out to be completely false accusations about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, deliberately targeting survivors and not a drug boat of an initial attack. Listen to what President Trump has to say.
Number one, I don't know that happened. And Pete said he did not want them. He didn't even know what people were talking about. So we'll look into it. But no, I wouldn't have wanted that, not a second strike. The first strike was very lethal. It was mine. And if there were two people around, but Pete said that didn't happen.
I'm seeing some things in the New York Times now admitting that they didn't have any source for that, and the Washington Post. But Jared, if there was a second strike, it was on the boat. And by the way, in Afghanistan, we did second strikes all the time to eliminate terrorists. This is, to me, one of the very most misguided attacks on the Trump administration. People want to see these drug dealers eliminated and their drugs stopped from coming into the country.
Yeah, it's very much like the Maryland Man story, the Kilmar Abrego Garcia, where ultimately Democrats are defending something that the vast majority of Americans find absolutely reprehensible. These drugs and narcotics that are being brought into the United States has killed so many Americans over the last decade. And of course, Venezuela has been a huge part of that. They very intentionally wanted to do damage to the health and well-being of the American people. They're very happy to aid these drug boats and these narcotics traffickers. So yeah, it's quite a position Democrats have put themselves in. They want to say that they are standing for the law and for order, but at the end of the day, I mean, of course, in this case, I think that a lot of the facts of the case are going to exonerate Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. And the reality is they're coming to the defense of people that I think most people across the globe see as reprehensible, as terrible people who've done damage to too many. So where Democrats are ultimately going at this, I think they want to, of course, create dissension within the ranks in the military. I think they want to cause a lot of damage with this. This is part of their hashtag resistance. They did this playbook last time and the first Trump presidency. They want to do it again. They want to damage this presidency, even if that means hurting the military and our operations around the globe.
Yeah, I think that there's an extra caveat to this, though. I'm sorry. I think that, first of all, I think some people are being paid off to do this. The drug cartels do have money, headline. And there's also something else going on. I think that this is more than just resisting Trump. I think now we have a full effort to undermine the country and completely really get it from within, attack it from within. Now, here's what I want you to listen to. I have two sound bites that I'm going to play, but I'll interrupt in between them. But there's an attempt to second guess, again, our attacks on drug boats. This will, of course, spread to our attacks on full-on terrorists as well. The new poster boy for spreading that moral confusion, I'll call it, is, of course, Senator Mark Kelly. And he telegraphed to us that he would be doing this before that Seditious Six video that everyone's been talking about from a couple of weeks ago. This is from way back in October on ABC, where he's really trying to throw a lot of shade over attacking the drug boats. Check this out.
You don't move a battle group all the way from where it was to the Caribbean unless you're planning on either to intimidate the country, which is rather intimidating, or you're going to start conducting combat operations in Venezuela. And this doesn't make the United States more safe. This makes us less safe. I mean, starting a war against Venezuela over what is a law enforcement action does not make any sense.
All right, now, Jared, before you comment on that, I want you to listen to this. There's nothing new under the sun. this kind of discouraging message and, doing something to protect America is actually going to make those troops and the rest of us less safe really rang a bell in my head. I've heard this before. I want you to check out a broadcast that I found of the infamous messages from Tokyo Rose in 1944. I want you to listen to it and see if anything sounds familiar to you. Check it out.
Hello, Yankee brothers. This is your Japanese sister, the voice of truth. Tokyo Rose reaches out to you from the peacefulness of Japan, laden as always with love, but today also with sorrow, because of what your superiors are making you do. This morning they are forcing you to attempt the impossible.
Is that Tokyo Rose?
Brothers?
Yeah, I guess so.
The impossible.
And no accent.
For it is impossible for you to dislodge our forces on Iwo Jima.
I mean, Jared, it's the same MO, really. Maybe we should call Mark Kelly Caracas Kelly. He and Tokyo Rose can be buddies. Don't I'm angry, but your superiors are ordering you to do. Boy, that sounds a lot like the question orders thing that Kelly talks about, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's a great find, and I think it's an apt comparison in this case. I think what he's doing right now is very, very dangerous. It's putting a lot of pressure on regular servicemen who are just doing their jobs in the military, who are following orders. He wants to create dissension within the ranks. I mean, that's when President Trump, said, and people said he went overboard in saying that word death in that social media post. What he's saying is for the regular guys who are fighting the military, to disobey orders at any moment has very, very serious repercussions. That's to be taken extremely seriously. Is Mark Kelly, what's he going to do about that? By making the blanket statements about defying illegal orders that he can't fully define, he's creating that kind of chaos. And he's obviously putting pressure because he doesn't probably like what we're doing in Venezuela. He doesn't like the fact that we're putting pressure on this regime that the left has liked for a long time and defended, has been a terrible, vile regime in the New World that's caused a great deal of damage to the United States. So, yeah, I think this is all part of a concerted strategy to defend Venezuela and to create as much chaos here as possible. It's terrible.
Yeah, well, speaking of moral confusion, Jarrett, we had Luigi Mangione, who, do we really have to say he's the alleged shooter of the United Healthcare CEO? He openly admitted it many times. His lawyers are trying to play some games now. But he did have a court appearance yesterday. And again, his cheering fans were out there. Can we get to the bottom of this? I really feel like our country is in serious, serious trouble when a guy who guns down a defenseless man on the street is a hero to a bunch of young people in New York City or anywhere. It's really scary to me.
He really set off a wave of assassination culture in America. Maybe this was bubbling for a long time. It's very clear, especially among some of the younger cohorts, that this is becoming a regular part of politics. And Luigi really set that off. And I do think it's not the fact that there are killers, there are people who will commit assassinations. What's been disturbing in almost all of these cases is how many regular Americans have been okay with this, have been outright have said that they think what he did was moral and right. Many have cheered this on. That's more disturbing than the fact that you have a few people in society who are willing to commit acts of violence. It's that you have a huge amount of support for it among many people who you would consider to be normal people. And that's what I see in each one of these cases, whether it's the killer of Charlie Kirk, whether it's in this case. Yeah. You see masses of people on social media saying, well, actually, I support this. Yay, good. That's horrible. That's what destroys countries from within.
Yeah. I guess on a slightly lighter note, but also still kind of scary, Jared, you have a piece out now in the Daily Signal talking about this whole affordability crisis and how it's kind of become a political football. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to correct the record on some of this because it is something that a lot of Democrats, those in blue states, are trying to use against the Trump administration. While I would say that Trump does have a big job in getting sort of the macro economy back to where people thought it should be back in 2019 when he was president back then, I will say if Democrats want to make affordability the central aspect, the central plank heading into next year, I think Republicans have a very good response to it. Just look at the difference between red states and blue states on affordability. The fact is people are leaving places like California, places like New York, where there is very little affordability. A lot of studies have shown that there's more than a 10% gap between red states and blue states, and it's because specifically of the policies, because of the green regulations, because of the taxes in these states, the high cost of gas at the pump. These are all things that are tied to Democrat policies, and when they get in power, they just double down on them. They double down on them at the national level. So I do think that the right in general has a good argument on this issue. Now, maybe it needs to be sharpened in the next year, but I think that the proof is in the statistics. It's in how people have voted with their feet over the last decade, and I think that is a very strong argument.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned gas prices, because I just checked. I've been waiting all night for this update. The national average for 1 gallon of gasoline right now is below $3. We broke below $3. It's $2.99 a gallon. So if you're in California paying almost $5, or some of these other states, just take a look at that and understand how much they are gouging you. Jared Stepman from the Daily Signal, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Jake.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is in the midst of a full-blown scandal right now. Some are calling for his resignation, and they're not even Republicans. But first, let's get a preview of that special election for a vacant House seat out of deep red Tennessee. It's Republican Matt Van Epps versus former car alarm, that's what I call her, former car alarm, Afton Ben. American Sunrise Early Edition. We'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's a live look at New London, Connecticut. We're expecting heavy, heavy rain in this part of the Northeast today, all day, starting at around 9 a.m. Other parts of the Northeast further up from Connecticut are going to get heavy snow. So be ready for that. I wanted to walk to the library today and put my show together at the public library with all the nice people there, but I don't know if I'm going to want to make the walk if it's pouring on me. Welcome back to American Sunrise Early Edition. I'm Jake Novak. Special welcome to those of you who are watching and commenting on Getter and Rumble and Substack and X. I see all of you. I'm like that woman on Romper Room with the magic mirror. Maybe I'll call it all of your names. President Trump has weighed in on that special election that is today. Today, folks, if you're watching in Tennessee, the Nashville area, make sure you get out and vote. It's a special election to fill an empty House seat in that, again, the Nashville area. He is strongly endorsing Republican Matt Van Epps over radical Democrat Afton Ben. Now, Emily Finn introduced us to Afton Ben and her car alarm past. We showed you a video. I'm not going to show it again because I don't want to break your eardrum a second time, where she ran into Governor Bill Lee's office in Louisiana and started screaming like a car alarm. I mean, it was really a former good career for her. But this radical Emily has a chance to win. The polls say it's really tight. What do you chalk this up to? I mean, apathy? What's going on here? Why would they vote for this woman?
Honestly, I must admit, her social media use. I mean, she's been a car alarm all over TikTok, a car alarm all over Instagram, really been capitalizing on just the shock value of her campaign. But in the late days here, the Van Epps campaign has really been trying to pull through. And Jake, I must admit, Afton Ben saying that she hates Tennessee. She hates everything about Tennessee. She hates the bachelorette parties. She hates Nashville. I mean, she is not the right person to represent this area. And I hope that the constituents, the people in that district wake up and they make the right decision today in this election. This is the type of woman that you don't want to send to D.C. to represent you. She hates everything that you stand for. And it just seems like such a black and white issue. But the politics really do get confusing in campaigns like this. And so it comes down to the people in that area to wake up and make the right decision, Jake.
You know, Emily, I think it also comes down to this. I mean, there's probably a lot of people who watch this program who are very up on politics, very astute. They don't fall asleep on it, who probably didn't know there was this election today. And this is a national story. When you have a House of Congress, the House of Representatives, that's so razor thin a majority for the Republicans, every race like this really is a national story. And yet, I think there were a lot of people who didn't know about it. I think there's a lot of people in the national. I mean, I'm afraid to take a look at what the voter turnout's going to be when we find that out. And to me, this is a form of voter suppression. Why are we having elections on a random Tuesday right in the middle of Christmas season? Random Tuesday, sometimes they have these elections in the summer. To me, this is deliberate on behalf of a more Democrat-leaning system, which makes it easier for union members who not only get the day off but get paid to go out and do a campaign work on Election Day. For folks who are just working a regular job like you and me and lots of people watching, this is not so easy to go vote today, and I think that's deliberate.
Even if, you know, if we lived in the Tennessee area, even if we wanted to participate, we couldn't because we have responsibilities during the day that would, you know, make us not be able to go. Something with Afton Ben I want to point out, just being the Gen Z girl on the show, Jake, you know, young people, college students that are able to vote, they can get out of class, they can skip class no problem and go vote for her. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out today. But I think at the when you kind of get everything all together, I mean, it's very clear that only one candidate is going to represent this area well and actually loves this area and loves the people in this area and what they stand for. And so, like I said, I hope that the people in this district wake up and make the right decision today. But, Jake, I will say, even if Afton Ben does win, we have so much content to be able to talk about her on this program, her and her car alarm.
Your ulterior motive. All right. Well, that's true. I remember people wanted Michael Dukakis to win the presidential race in 1988 because cartoonists would have so much fun with his eyebrows and his eyes. And I thought to myself, like, good luck, guys. I don't think he's going to win. All right. Emily Finn, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on The Big Show from 8 to 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Hey, did you catch President Trump calling out those big banks that shut down Americans just for their beliefs? It's time to stop rewarding them. Move your money to Old Glory Bank. Old Glory Bank serves customers in all 50 states with top-tier online banking for both consumers and businesses. Everything the big woke banks offer you, you're going to find better at Old Glory Bank. They're proudly pro-freedom, pro-Second Amendment, and pro-crypto. Visit oldglorybank.com/Rav today and join the right side of banking. Coming up, manufacturing jobs, fracking, those kinds of jobs, those are good. Construction, New York State says no all the time. But give a casino to a multi-billion-dollar Major League Baseball team owner right next to the ballpark, even in the midst of a huge pro-gambling scandal, no problem. That story and more when American Sunrise Early Edition comes right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
That's a live look at Port Jefferson, New York. It's about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more from where I'm sitting right now. Again, it looks like a halfway decent morning, but we're apparently going to get pelted with rain all day in this area. So if you got something to do in this area in the next couple hours, go do it now. And watch Rav on your phone or something while you go out and about. Let's take a look at where the markets will begin today. We had a sell-off yesterday to start the week, but actually only took a little bit off of that major rally, several days of rallying going into the Thanksgiving break. So this morning looks like we're going to open a little bit higher. These are small gains. You see gold giving back just a little bit, silver giving back, crude oil at the $59 barrel level. And as I mentioned just a little bit ago, the average price for a gallon of gas in America has broken below $3 for the first time in years. Remember, it was well below $3 before Joe Biden became president. So that's big news this morning. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. That's where there's a lot of drama these days, and I want to show you where Bitcoin is now. Look, it's at the 87. It's up $2,000 this morning. It's at the $87,000 mark. We were briefly over $91,000 over the Thanksgiving weekend, and we went all the way back down to almost 81. Coming back a little bit today. There's a lot of money to be made in these back and forth trades, by the way, for people who know about day trading. So watch it. There's action there. Someone's going to make or lose money. It won't be boring. Okay, we have big news for New York City. A real casino, not just slot machines and electronic stuff, a real casino. Actually, 3 of them have been approved for the city limits. That's never happened before. Now, Mets owner Steve Cohen is going to get a big chunk of one of them. I think it's going to be the Hard Rock Casino that's going to be operating it, but Steve Cohen will be one of the owners. And of course, he's the owner of the Mets, and they're going to put that casino right next to Citi Field. For those of you who know, a lot of you know about Major League Baseball stadiums around the country. They do great things around the area of the stadium, like in Washington and also lots of other places. They make basically like a pedestrian mall with bars and restaurants and little concert stages. It's really cute. That's what I really wanted for Queens and for the Mets, and maybe they'll still get it. An indoor casino, look, again, not approved. I understand people are going to bet. But in the middle of this betting scandal with pro sports, which includes Major League Baseball, I don't know if this is the greatest look. But I'll give you one more thing that I'll say about this. Hey, New York State, you're approving casinos because you think all that New Yorkers want is just go and gamble. What we also want, and want even more, are more construction jobs. Please approve more building. Fracking. Allow fracking in New York State, upstate especially. Pennsylvania gets it, and that's all that money that goes to them. We have the right to it also, and on down the line. There's a better career out there for people other than being a casino dealer or someone who folds sheets at a casino hotel. Again, not approved. I understand that there's a demand for it. That's great, but give us other jobs also. And also give us that other culture near Citi Field that we want. We want that for Yankee Stadium too. All right. Eli Lilly, going on now to another issue, is going to drop the prices for the injectable weight loss drug Zepbound. Now, this is just for the cash customers. not for the people who are getting this drug via their insurance plans. Now, the cash customers right now pay between $3.99 and $4.99 a month for the injectable vials, a month's supply. Most people are now going to pay closer to $299. Some people who don't necessarily qualify will still have to pay close to $500, but most people will now get a nice price cut all the way down to under $300. But to me, there's a little bit of bad news mixed in with this. The reason why Eli Lilly is doing this is because of pressure from the Trump administration, and I understand why the Trump administration is doing that. They're absolutely trying to help make drugs and other treatments more affordable for Americans. That's fine. But I'd like to see the prices go down because of a more organic supply and demand situation. At the same time that we pressure these drug companies to lower costs, we need to find out what it takes for them to make more. You want to have a supply increase so the prices go down. That's, of course, if you're in favor of these kinds of drugs in the first place. I think that it is warranted to take this drug for a lot of people. Not everyone could just be told have better willpower. That's not the way it works in weight loss. Some people, however, probably shouldn't be on these drugs. It feels like everyone's on them, and we know they have side effects and other issues going into them. So, of course, that's a different debate. But if you're going to lower the price of something that people want, you got to increase supply. That would be a more organic solution to the problem. Okay, here we go again, folks, with another NVIDIA story. But this one is a little bit more interesting, which is why I want to talk about it, because I think what NVIDIA is doing right now should be studied at business schools. Maybe even historians should study it. NVIDIA is trying to stay alive as a company while it's already on top. It's the most valuable company in the world, according to its stock price and its stock valuation. And instead of just sitting on their laurels, NVIDIA lately has been investing in a lot of the companies who buy their chips. They just took a $2 billion stake in a company called Synopsys that buys a lot of their chips for cloud computing and genetic mapping and things like that. Why is this significant? Well, I got one word for you: Kodak. Remember, Kodak was the dominant film company in all the world. They didn't get down with digital photography, something that they should have done, something they should have invested in. The companies that were developing it, they should have also got invested in some of the companies that needed their material. Maybe they should have invested in some Hollywood studios who were using their film. You get my point. It's something that NVIDIA is trying to do to stay on top. I find this an interesting case study. Let's see if it works for them. At the end of the day, we don't want to have the buggy whip companies still be in charge of our transportation. But for now, NVIDIA is far, far more advanced than a buggy whip. Let's say that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. This is Moving America, sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. ArtilleryTeaCo.com. Use promo code RAV for 10% off your order. Artillery Tea is all natural, whole leaf. The tea bags are chemical free, and each tea bag can be used twice. Artillery Tea Company is family and veteran owned and operated, and a portion of your purchase goes to help veteran and first responder charities. ArtilleryTeaCo.com, promo code RAV for 10% off your order. Speaking of investments, I was just talking about NVIDIA. Stellantis, that's Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge parent company, they told in October, and I reported it here, that they were investing billions of dollars in increasing their presence in the United States. Okay, that's nice. I just figured that meant that they would make more Jeeps, because Jeep is their most popular brand here in the United States. Maybe get a little bit more creative and bring back some more Dodge sports cars, performance cars to the market. But it goes well beyond that, and we found that out yesterday. It turns out insiders within the auto industry say that hundreds, underline hundreds, not dozens, hundreds of new people, white-collar workers, are being hired to work at the Stellantis tech headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan. That's where the Palace in Michigan used to be, where the Pistons used to play. These are white-collar jobs. Now, there's a lot of solid evidence here that there's a major commitment here coming from Stellantis. They're throwing a Hail Mary right now, trying to get somewhere and get Stellantis has always been a struggling company. Chrysler has been struggling in the United States for well over 40, really 45 years. So this is an interesting investment that they're making, but it's real. This is not just a press release and me telling you about them and saying some number like billions of dollars. Apparently, hundreds of white-collar tech workers being hired at the Stellantis HQ. I hope they're not people on H-1B visas, but we'll find that out maybe later. Okay, a not-so-great milestone was passed in America yesterday. We had good news this morning about the average price of gas going down below $300 in this country, but we had bad news yesterday. We finally did break the $50,000 threshold. The average price of a marketed new car, so basically MSRP, went over $50,000 for the first time in American history yesterday. You might be hearing me tell you the story and thinking, hey, wait a minute, didn't that happen a couple of months ago? No, that's what the mainstream media tried to report when it got to about $49,900. They just rounded up. But I don't like to round up on this program. You either hit 50 or you don't. We hit it now. And again, tariffs are tough, and that's what the mainstream media and the Democrats are going to blame. They're going to blame the tariffs, the Trump tariffs, for the prices going up. But not so fast, my friend. The prices were going up well before that. And prices of those cars are only up 0.7% since the tariffs were announced. So it's not the tariffs, folks. It's all the other things that are going into the price of a new car. Some of it is expensive new tech. And, of course, the price of labor in this country is nothing to sneeze at. We have to find a way to lower those costs. It's not all bad news for Tesla. It feels like every story that I've done in the last 6 months about Tesla sales has been bad news. But now we have some good news. It turns out, especially coming out of Europe, especially where Europe apparently has completely rejected Tesla and Elon Musk. Well, not so fast, because in Norway, in the first 11 months of this year so far, Tesla has sold more cars than any other company sold in an entire year. So they still have a month to go, and Tesla has already broken the annual sales record for any car company in the history of Norway. Now, there's one caveat that I got to throw into here. At the end of this year, Norway is going to include a new tax on people who don't own electric vehicles, if you own a gas-powered car. So a lot of people are rushing to trade over to an EV in Norway. But that's been true in a lot of countries where there are new taxes coming in and things like that, and they haven't chosen Tesla. So Norway is a big win for Tesla and maybe the beginning of a comeback for that company. And by the way, I almost missed this great story that I want to tell you about right now. The police department in the town of Spring Lake, New Jersey, won a statewide competition to get a free new Ford Bronco Cruiser. This baby is worth over $110,000, so this is no small donation. Each police department in New Jersey was asked to compete with a social media posting, a music video, or other demonstration on social media showing why they deserve to get this Bronco. And Spring Lake, New Jersey, won the competition. All-American Ford in New Jersey and a police tech company called GTBM organized the giveaway. That's a nice win for those cops down in Spring Lake, New Jersey. Okay, coming up, what are the best new tech innovations of the year and coming for next year? No, I'm not about to give you a list of bargains at Best Buy. Think bigger, folks, think bigger. American Sunrise Early Edition will have some answers for you just ahead.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents
A Kennedy Curse. That is the theme of Angel Studios' newest documentary, RFK Legacy. It comes from acclaimed filmmaker Oliver Stone, director of the hit movie JFK, and his son Sean Stone, in a profile of the Kennedy legacy that you've never seen before.
I want to ask you about your father's assassination.
Anybody who reads that report will understand that Sirhan could not have killed my father.
It's a dirty story.
It explores the Kennedy legacy as told through the eyes of Bobby Kennedy Jr., who reflects upon his life and memories, his time on Cape Cod, his uncle's assassination, his own father's assassination, and his early interest in nature and the environment.
This time you have a drug addiction. How does that play out?
I wanted to be working with nature.
He was appalled at what he saw. This is how he became the leading environmental lawyer in the United States.
There's no right to pollute. The polluter pays. My views are constantly misrepresented.
This compelling documentary profiles our current Secretary of Health and Human Services and dives deep into why Bobby Kennedy is who he is, why he cares so much about health in this country, and how his family legacy continues even after family members pass on far too soon.
I don't know if there's a curse. We do what we're supposed to do. The outcome's in God's hands.
To see RFK Legacy, go to angel.com/Rav, join the Angel Guild, and watch today.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice.
It's Tuesday, December 2nd. Here are this morning's top stories. The multi-front attack on the U.S. military chain of command continues. That effort to accuse Secretary of War Pete Hegseth with war crimes in connection to our attacks on drug boats in the Caribbean, that seems to be weakening thanks to President Trump defending Hegseth and the facts coming out. It's now a full-blown scandal, however, though, in Minnesota, as hundreds of government workers in that state say they warned Governor Tim Walz about federal aid money being stolen by the Somali community. They even warned Kamala Harris about it after she chose Walz as her running mate last year. It's election day in deep red Tennessee, but the special election to fill a vacant House seat representing the Nashville area is a dead heat in the polls. How is it that a radical Democrat could possibly pull off a big upset? When the White House releases the results of President Trump's latest MRI, showing the president to be in very good health for an 80-year-old man, this comes as Democrats and their mainstream media minions try to suggest Trump is not well. American Sunrise Early Edition continues now. About presidential health, where were they during the Joe Biden presidency when any child of 5 and older could see that he was not all there? Then they were not only covering it up and not covering it, but telling us how great shape he was and all things like that. I understand hypocrisy is an essential element of politics. If it's not hypocritical, it ain't political. That's one of my sayings. But sometimes hypocrisy goes into the realm of the absurd. Let's get into some things that I think are a little bit more encouraging. At least we will in a couple of minutes. Joining us now is tech expert and founder of AML Global, Ann Leibschutz. And when we talk tech, first we have to address the elephant in the room, Ann, and that is AI. It's our artificial intelligence and all the spending in it, and the fact that so many of the people watching this program right now, their 401ks and their IRAs are very much reliant on where the AI stocks go from day to day. I don't think it's a classic bubble in the sense that even a small percentage of that technology is not going to be used. I think it's very essential. But what's your feeling about this? Is there too much spending going on? Did we get ahead of our skis on AI right now?
Well, you are correct. There is a lot of discussion about an AI bubble, and let's separate big tech versus investments from the VC and some of the small startups. But with big tech, the big companies, they're just riding high and higher, and that's because they are the market's rewarding them for the promise of AI, while at the same time, the reality, they are making extreme investments in their AI infrastructure. So what the market concern, what Mr. Market is worried about is, are these companies, are these prices, are these earnings being rewarded for the potential of AI, when in fact we're going to have these big investments that were first being absorbed by the companies with their cash flow, but now are being also financed through debt. So is there a concern that there's an overinvestment? We might have a rocky road, some bumps, but I consider AI a very across the board enabling technology, from consumer applications to large enterprise applications, and from abacus to a spreadsheet to the software. I mean, this is a common denominator thing. It's not going anywhere. The investments have to take place. So, over the course of time, I don't think we're looking at an AI bubble.
That's interesting. All right, and let's convene a very short business school seminar for you, me, and everyone else watching, because I think this is a really interesting case study that goes beyond the AI stuff. I think a lot of companies might want to be watching this very closely, because NVIDIA, which is the king of the hill of AI, is the most valuable company in the world because they make the chips that are really the best right now for the AI sector. They're not just going and moving along. They're at the top of the hill right now, but they're very much looking at trying to stay there, or at least not becoming irrelevant in 10, 20 years. They're making big investments in the companies that they actually supply, so that those companies probably don't go elsewhere. Hey, if I got a $2 billion stake in a company like Synopsys, like NVIDIA just took yesterday, maybe they won't go to Intel or Google for our competitors. It's not a dumb thing to do. I don't know how this goes as far as the antitrust laws. I'm going to let a lawyer explain that. But do you find this interesting? Because I don't remember Kodak buying up movie studios or photography studios across the country. Maybe they should have.
No, NVIDIA is making sure that they don't have a Red Queen problem where they just have to run as hard as they can to stay in the place that they are. They are taking a long-term strategy. I mean, the only problem NVIDIA has is they can't make enough chips. So what they're doing is they are charging forward. They are investing in their partners. They are investing in their companies. They're you're creating investments in their strategic partners that are their customers. So they're going to have both buyers and strategic partners that are growing their bottom line with them. So yes, they are playing. They are playing well in the AI space from both the producer and in terms of creating creating good business partners across the industry for themselves. As far as whether or not there's any anti-competitive practices, really you get into whether or not there's collusion and intent to restrict competition in the marketplace. Just being smart in collaborating and creating good business partnerships, that's just smart business.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not something that I've seen a tremendous amount from. Companies get on the top of the hill and they start thinking about themselves and their products only, and maybe that's why they don't stay there. All right, let's talk about some of the tech advancements of the past year and what you see coming for next year, because that got more traction in 2025. And this is not just consumer tech. I know that one of the technologies that you've been excited about over the last year are the advancements in helping people fight and monitor their diabetes. Sadly, this is still an epidemic in the United States. And you had one particular technology that you thought was very helpful in the past year that really boosted itself.
Yeah, you already touched earlier in the show about the GLP-1s. I'm always tracking things that help people make intelligent decisions about themselves. You know, your audience here, you always say that you like an interactive news experience. You have informed viewers. You like them writing in. Well, you know, people need good information. They need good information about their health and bodies. All people are different. You take 100 people, you feed them the same, you give them the same workouts for a year straight. Guess what? They're all going to process things differently. And we really have no information about how things affect us. Food, you know, what we consume, how we metabolize things. And the only real way to do that is through lab work and also through continuous glucose monitors. And to date, those have always only been available through, you know, for certain types of people with certain conditions through a prescription. And now there's one on the market, and it's the first time there's a non-FDA, there's an FDA approved but non-prescription required continuous glucose monitor, so people can learn about how foods, how certain, you know, what they consume affects them, because people need good actionable data so they can make good health decisions for themselves. It's not about willpower. It's not about just certain willpower. All people are different metabolically, how we our proteomic makeup, everything about us is different. So we need to get a better understanding of how things affect us. And these technologies, such as a continuous glucose monitor that anybody can go and learn about how things affect themselves, it enables them to make informed decisions.
Yeah, I mean, let's just compare that, for example, to when you're in your car or your SUV. You turn it on and you have a million monitors telling you real-time data about everything that's happening to your vehicle and how it's responding to a slick road, to what the situation is with your gas tank, the situation with your battery, all that kind of stuff. You have an EV, and we don't have something like that for our bodies. Someone who can create that. I feel like everyone's been talking about AI so much, they've forgotten some of the other hot parts of the tech market that just a couple of years ago everyone said was the big thing. Biometrics, the watches that people wear. We all know the technology could be better with those things. It's great they give you sort of your heart rate, but all that stuff, there's a lot of room to grow there, isn't there, Ann? I mean, at one point, if I can find out, should I take that extra bite of that steak or that cake, and I can see what it'll do? I mean, I think that will make a lot of money for a lot of people and actually might even save lives.
And how certain foods affect one person but not the other, and what times a day somebody eats. But everybody is different, and we need to start looking at health and performance through that lens.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just it's a nice thing. Finally, Ann, I want to talk about something even bigger in the tech, or a little bit higher level tech, and that's basically defense and weapons technology. This has been a very, obviously, probably the dominant story, or at least one of the top 3 dominant stories of the last year for the whole world, was the war, the Hamas terrorists and Israel fighting. We have a ceasefire now. It seems to be holding. But we learned over the past year in a greater detail just how much the tech industries of the United States and Israel are very much intertwined. You know, one thing I'm showing right here is the F-35. The Israelis 10 years ago doubled the stealth capacity of the F-35. And when they do that, They don't keep that technology to themselves. They share it with Lockheed Martin. They share it with the United States. That's just one example. But we also saw Iron Beam start to work this year. These are all technologies that are very much intertwined, and we don't want to have wars and these kinds of horrible things happen. But you understand now what the United States gets out of this partnership when Israel is basically test marketing some of the systems that we want to protect us here on the homeland.
Sure. The U.S.-Israel tech relationship, the research and development relationships, the scientific relationships are intertwined. Israel is inside everything. Often I'm asked about traveling to Israel, and as I say, the flights are always full, no matter what. They're full because companies have their main R&D centers. They have their tech scouting centers. The NASDAQ has their R&D centers in Israel. You drive up the coast, you see every major U.S. company. Research and development happens in Israel. The U.S. global research and development happens in Israel, and it's not just defense; it's everything from AI and cyber and quantum, and everything that we touch in terms of the medical industry, from conducting clinical trials and research to the really sophisticated and advanced imaging that's used in every single day medical practices. One of the ironies is when people start wanting to talk about boycotting Israel is if they really understood to what extent every single thing that they do that saves a life, that enables modern day society, the research, the development, the scientists, the engineering is often taking place in Israel. And, we're talking about, as we open with defense, something that's interesting is right now we are waiting for the National Defense Authorization Act to pass. This is the legislation that has been passed by Congress 64 years in a row and should pass this year, the 65th in a row. And in the House version, there's actually something called a DIU Innovation Hub. And if that makes it into the final bill, there'll be a part of the Department of Defense that actually has an official scouting office based in Israel.
Wow, that's amazing. Look, folks, it's not about basically looking at everything being perfect or good and everything else like that, but this is important technology that we will use here, we have used here in the United States, and it's an important partnership. Ann Leibschutz, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thanks.
Okay, coming up, let's get into this Tim Walz scandal in Minnesota that could and maybe really should force him to resign. David Brody and I will do that. We'll talk about it when American Sunrise Early Edition comes right back.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents
A Kennedy Curse. That is the theme of Angel Studios' newest documentary, RFK Legacy. It comes from acclaimed filmmaker Oliver Stone, director of the hit movie JFK, and his son Sean Stone, in a profile of the Kennedy legacy that you've never seen before.
I want to ask you about your father's assassination.
Anybody who reads that report will understand that Sirhan could not have killed my father.
It's a dirty story.
It explores the Kennedy legacy as told through the eyes of Bobby Kennedy Jr., who reflects upon his life and memories, his time on Cape Cod, his uncle's assassination, his own father's assassination, and his early interest in nature and the environment.
This time you have a drug addiction. How does that play out?
I wanted to be working with nature.
He was appalled at what he saw. This is how he became the leading environmental lawyer in the United States.
There's no right to pollute. The polluter pays. My views are constantly misrepresented.
This compelling documentary profiles our current Secretary of Health and Human Services and dives deep into why Bobby Kennedy is who he is, why he cares so much about health in this country, and how his family legacy continues even after family members pass on far too soon.
I don't know if there's a curse. We do what we're supposed to do. The outcome's in God's hands.
To see RFK Legacy, go to angel.com/Rav, join the Angel Guild, and watch today.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice.
That's Saranac Lake, New York. Very. I mean, look at that. That's like a picture postcard. Did we put a camera on an actual city, or are we basically looking at a snow globe here? I mean, honestly, that's like a Norman Rockwell. I don't know. That is just picture perfect Americana for you here on American Sunrise Early Edition. Welcome back to our program. David Brody is here now, and David, I want to talk about this because this is something that a lot of people are suppressing. We're learning that the mainstream media is absolutely suppressing this story. Mm-hmm. Literally hundreds of Minnesota state workers. These are not Trump operatives. These aren't social media influencers. These are state workers in Minnesota. For a long time, almost 2 years, have been warning everyone, including Tim Walz, the governor, that the Somali community and groups within the Somali community were stealing federal money, taking it and funneling it over to terrorist groups. Tim Walz did nothing. Mm-hmm. And they even tried to warn Kamala Harris about it. This is starting to come out now in drips and drabs, David. I feel like this should be existentially fatal for Tim Walz's political career. This needs to be something that gets him to step down, because other states are just going to end up, if he doesn't get punished for this, other states are going to go to some of these communities and work another deal out with them just like this. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I think this story is going to have a lot of traction, because even though Just the News reported it at first, let's be clear, John Solomon and the folks over Just the News had the exclusive. The New York Times has now decided to pick it up and make it kind of above the fold, if you will, or close to it. And so they're devoting a lot of attention to it. And as you know, as Mark Halpern used to say, the gang of 500, they all follow each other. And so after the New York Times publishes something, you can be sure there'll be others that will jump on because, now that the New York Times has done it, then it must be legitimate. Ha ha, LOL. But look, with Tim Walz here, what's interesting to me is one specific line in this New York Times article, and let me read it to you. Here it is. It says this: red flags in the meals program surfaced in the early months of the pandemic, but the money kept flowing. The early months of the pandemic, calculation to 2020, going on almost 6 years now, 5-6 years. I can't keep track. But the point is 6 years. I mean, so you're kidding me, right? No, we're not kidding anybody here. And this is the problem. And this is to your point, Jake, as to why heads need to roll, specifically Tim Walz's head needs to roll, is exactly because of that this has been going on for a very long time. And so the obvious question is why? Well, clearly the Somalia migrants. Now, see, they got me sucked into saying migrants, but many of them are actually naturalized citizens, actually. But the Somalia population there clearly backs Democrat policies. That's number one. And so they were going into the cookie jar, if you will, and many state officials were looking the other way. And so this is a big part of the problem. This is the problem, if you will. And so that's on Tim Walz's watch. And now he wants to have a third term as governor. I think it's going to be really problematic for him going forward.
Yeah. And again, this explains so much. Like, how does Ilhan Omar have a net worth between $6 and $36 million? $6 million, let's say it's on the low end. $6 million, that's a lot of money in Minnesota, yeah? You can buy a lot of Vikings tickets, yeah, with that kind of money. It's really, I mean, honestly, how did she, I mean, she never worked a job that we know of before she ran for Congress, at least not a lucrative one. This money is just going around to people, and all they have to do is deliver block votes. You mentioned that they support the Democrats in favor of block. Boy, I hope you're not selling yourself short if you can deliver block votes through a politician wherever you're watching this, because you can get big money apparently.
And this also goes to kind of a larger issue, which is in essence that Minnesota's used the Scandinavian model here, right? I mean, this idea of higher taxes for all of these benefits and social services and everything. And why do you think they have a huge Somalia population there? Because they know where the money is, Jake. They know exactly where it is because Tim Walz has enabled this for many, many years.
Wait, are you saying that Somalis didn't go to Minnesota because it most likely is like their climate back home? What? I always They went where the money is, not where the weather was. That's the craziest thing. What are they putting Somalis in Minneapolis for? What a bad match. All right. Anyway, American Sunrise, the big show is coming up from 8 to 10 a.m. I'll see you around 9:25, and we'll see you on Early Edition tomorrow, bright and early at 7 a.m., taking attendance.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday.
to the show, Benny. Benny, what's happening inside the White House today?
Today, the First Lady is set at around 9:45. She will welcome people at Joint Andrews Air Force Base as she puts together meals for our service men and women overseas, as well as their families. And then we will see this evening, President Trump is set to sign some congressional bills in the Oval Office, and we are not sure yet what those bills will look like, so we'll have more information regarding that to you guys soon.
It's also Media Day at the Pentagon. Take us through this. This is a lot of new media is there. A lot of old media has, quote, left the building with Elvis, apparently. But there's controversy there. I mean, there's a document that needs to be signed by any new media outlet. So take us through that. What about that?
It's actually incredible, this new media road that the Pentagon is doing. We are seeing independent journalists. We are seeing smaller organizations. We are seeing people who maybe never had a voice before inside these walls due to legacy media. We are now seeing them get into these rooms and report real hard news.
So the White House now launched a brand new media bias tracker on its website. This is an interesting idea. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is something that I believe was in the works for a while. I recommend every single person go to the White House website and check this out. There are over 30 to 50 pages of news organizations calling out reporters' names, as well as the specific articles that is fake news, Terrence. And what's so incredible about this is the Trump administration is bringing receipts. He is bringing sources to prove this fake news media wrong. And I think hopefully this will show the legacy media and these people that think they can lie that they can't lie. It's time to give it up and report the truth.
The Ukraine peace talks, they were held actually in Florida yesterday. Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, meeting with the Ukrainian delegation. Both sides said they made real progress, even if they're not sharing the details yet. The goal is simple: end the war and set Ukraine up for some sort of long-term stability. So what do you think? Do you feel like a possible breakthrough is real here? What's your sense?
I think they did move the ball down the field, and I say that for two reasons. Afterwards, both the United States and Ukraine said they felt good about the progress, and Secretary Rubio underscored that it was all about not just ending the war, but providing and ensuring real stability for Ukraine, and that they had an opportunity for prosperity.
You guys hug your children, love God, go boldly now. Live the truth. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas season.
It's Christmas. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents
A Kennedy Curse. That is the theme of Angel Studios' newest documentary, RFK Legacy. It comes from acclaimed filmmaker Oliver Stone, director of the hit movie JFK, and his son Sean Stone, in a profile of the Kennedy legacy that you've never seen before.
I want to ask you about your father's assassination.
Anybody who reads that report will understand that Sirhan could not have killed my father.
It's a dirty story.
It explores the Kennedy legacy as told through the eyes of Bobby Kennedy Jr., who reflects upon his life and memories, his time on Cape Cod, his uncle's assassination, his own father's assassination, and his early interest in nature and the environment.
This time you have a drug addiction. How does that play out?
I wanted to be working with nature.
He was appalled at what he saw. This is how he became the leading environmental lawyer in the United States.
There's no right to pollute. The polluter pays. My views are constantly misrepresented.
This compelling documentary profiles our current Secretary of Health and Human Services and dives deep into why Bobby Kennedy is who he is, why he cares so much about health in this country, and how his family legacy continues even after family members pass on far too soon.
I don't know if there's a curse. We do what we're supposed to do. The outcome's in God's hands.
To see RFK Legacy, go to angel.com/Rav, join the Angel Guild, and watch today.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice.
Just ahead on American Sunrise, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz under fire and And weakness is exposed at the failing New York Times after our colleagues at Just the News uncover a massive scam involving Somali immigrants ripping off billions of our tax dollars. Those would be illegals, most likely. John Solomon, whose team broke the story, will be here with details on both the alleged crime and the obvious breakdown of the old gray lady. Plus, an ultimatum for Venezuela as President Trump has reportedly pressured the leader there to give up power or face the wrath of justice. We're going to have the details for you just ahead. Also later, All Access, our special coverage at the Pentagon continues. Our RAV reporters standing by as we take you there live. These stories, so much more as American Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody in Washington, D.C., and Terrence Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Dr. G.
Yeah.
I'm here. Hello.
Dr. Gina and David, good morning to both.
There you are. All right.
I'm here. I'm here barely, but I'm here. I made it, guys. I made it. Hey, look, we've got some big stories, and Dr. Gina, you teased one of the bigger ones coming up here in just a little bit. The failing New York Times eating crow this morning after coming in second on a huge story. Over the weekend, the old gray lady, that of course is what the paper is known as, was once the paper of record for much of the world. Well, now it ran a massive piece on how Minnesota Governor Tim Walz enabled the Somali community in his state to defraud the government of billions of dollars. Here's the rub, though. Just the News had that story first. Yeah, that's right. It took John Solomon and his team working on the Just the News website, TV show, and podcast, months of work to highlight this fraud. President Trump and federal prosecutors are even citing some of Solomon's work. Just the News began their work during the 2024 election and continued it really throughout this year. John Solomon is going to be here with us with that story in just a little bit coming up here. But Dr. Gina and David, what a huge story. And it really goes to show that this hasn't been covered by really anybody but the New York Times and, of course, first John Solomon and Just the News until now. And I suspect we're going to see an avalanche of stories now that it's out there from the New York Times, Dr. Gina.
Yeah, I never knew that about the New York Times having that moniker. I've never heard that.
The gray lady, yep.
Yeah. You know, are you really surprised? I mean, is anyone really surprised? I mean, you just knew that guy was smarmy. You could smell it across the airwaves when he was on TV. This is no big surprise for me, David. I doubt this is much of a big surprise for most anyone.
No, and as a matter of fact, the red flags have been there for 6 years. And what I mean by red flags is specifically the Minnesota government, Tim Walz and everybody there had wind of this. State officials had wind of what was going on back during COVID in 2020. And now here we are about to turn the clock to 2026. It's been 6 years that this has been going on. The word enabling, T-Bates, that you used is spot on. This has been enabling the Somalia immigrant community there to do what they've been doing now for 6 years. And we're going to get a lot more details with President Trump today. I know he has that cabinet meeting. I like to call it a reality series called The Cabinet. This is season 2, episode 9 today, which is his 9th cabinet meeting. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that, among many other things, see.
And guys, if I can just add, one of the themes throughout the show today is probably going to end up being kind of the media relationship with the administration. And I think these sorts of situations, once again, lead to this adversarial relationship between the media and government officials. Like you said, David, this has been going on 5 to 6 years, and it took John Solomon and his crew to finally unearth it. Where was the media in Minnesota? It's right in their backyard. Where was the other mainstream media covering this story? I think that really is indicative and really a great a reference for why there is this sort of adversarial relationship between the administration and between the mainstream media, because they are really failing on their jobs. That's just my 2 cents. We'll talk more about that, Dr. Gina, throughout the show. But would you please give us our Bible verse first?
All right, so today's Bible verse is from Psalm 25, verse 4. Show me your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths. And turning from the good book to Capitol Hill, this headline: Trump sounds off again on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. He says she should be thrown the hell out of our country. Those are his words, not ours. Omar is Somalian, a country that is currently in his crosshairs. Just over a week ago, Trump announced he was terminating the temporary protected status designation for the country following a report of alleged and confirmed fraud at this point it has been perpetrated by numerous members of the Somali community in Minnesota. The group was allegedly stealing taxpayer funds, as mentioned, funneling them to al-Shabaab terrorists. It was John Solomon, as we told you, and our team there from Just the News who broke the story, and it was the New York Times that picked it up after. Here's what the president had to say.
Hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state.
All right, so how is this playing in Congress? Joining us now with his view from Capitol Hill, Congressman Mark Alford from the great state of Missouri. Welcome, Congressman. You share the chamber with Congresswoman / squad member Omar.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's got to be a joyride. But I mean, a guy from Missouri having to deal with that kind of drudgery, what say you?
Well, look, every district deserves representation, and her district is largely Muslim, largely Somalian, and that's why she's in Congress. I do think that someone needs to look at how she got here. There's a lot of allegations going around that she married her brother to get status here in the United States. Whatever the case may be, radical Islam is incompatible with Western values. I don't know what happened to assimilation in America, the melting pot that we all grew up learning about, people coming here from different countries and contributing to the fabric of this nation. We have radical Islamic entities all over the United States right now, preaching hate, preaching killing of Jews. We have one imam in the Kansas City area who's done just that. And we've written the Justice Department, the FBI, to investigate that type of hate speech. This is even more troubling, though, when you consider that $1 billion of taxpayer money may have been funneled to al-Shabaab because of the goodness of our hearts trying to help people during the COVID era, that they've taken this money and turned it on Americans. I think it's reprehensible. It deserves an investigation. It deserves prosecution, and in some cases, deportation.
Congressman, I know you've traded your journalist hat for the hat of a congressman, but I'd like you to return your journalist hat to your head for just a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. And I'd like to get your perspective on the state of the media right now, the mainstream media in general. And I ask that in the context of the liberal media having this sort of meltdown, if you will, over the Pentagon granting access to new media outlets, many of whom, of course, are right of center. They're actually, to some degree, I think it would be fair to say, boycotting the Pentagon in lieu of these new rules that are set into place. Where are we? Can you give us an assessment as a former journalist, or once a journalist, always a journalist, on where we are in this relationship between the government and the media, which should be a watchdog, but now seems to be more of a lapdog?
Hey, that was good, actually.
I'm sorry, that was good. That was good.
That was good. I may steal that. Look, the media, by most standards, is liberal, okay? We get that. We know what we're dealing with. I had to deal with it when I was in the media, local media in Kansas City. But we also have to remember that they have a job to do. And this is a symbiotic relationship. There are a lot of people up here in Congress who don't want to talk to the media, who think that they're out to get them in every move. I'm very cautious of the media. I know how the game is played. But the knives are out for Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, number one. The knives are out for the president when it comes to the media. We saw the same type of squawking when Caroline Leavitt let the new media into the White House briefing room. The old media didn't want them there because they were going to get asked different questions and come up with different reportage than the legacy media has done for so long. We need these new voices. The Republican Study Committee today, in fact, just down the hall from me here at the Cannon Office Building, is holding another new media forum. We're inviting the members of the new media, podcasters, some radio shows, and others who don't necessarily see things the way that the old standard liberal woke media sees things. And we're going to get our message out. And that's what's happening at the Pentagon. The reporters there did not like the new rules that you can't go roaming around the halls of the Pentagon just willy-nilly. I've been over the Pentagon 2 times. I'm a sitting member of Congress. Even with this pin on, I cannot go wander the halls of the Pentagon. Tough luck that you can't go wandering the halls. Do your job, report the facts, and stay neutral.
Congressman, you mentioned the Pentagon. You mentioned the knives are out for Pete Hegseth. That leads me to Venezuela. What's your take about what's going on down there on a couple of fronts? One, do you think Trump is going to pull the trigger, and whatever that trigger looks like in terms of Maduro and getting rid of him? I'm curious about that. And then, of course, the controversy, the so-called controversy over Pete Hegseth and his alleged comments that he denies, saying to kill them all on that second boat strike where there were some survivors from the first boat strike back in September. What are your takes on both of those, sir?
Look, I was on the Armed Services Committee last term. I think Mike Rogers, the chair, is pretty intent on having a hearing on this, either behind closed doors or out in public. I think we need to find the truth out on this. I think the truth will lead to this, that Pete Hegseth did not order a second strike on these drug cartel members who were running drugs to kill Americans. I know the sympathies lie with most Americans think, well, they should. What does it matter if you shoot them once or twice? What in the hell does it matter? Sorry for the cursing there. But the idea is that there are rules of engagement. If those were violated, we need to find that out. But once again, these stories that are being leaked and these attributions being made to the Secretary of War that may or not be true, we need to see some substantiation. People who have those quotes need to come forward, and let's get to the bottom of it.
Congressman Mark Alford, we always appreciate you, my Missouri friend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Coming up,
Congressman.
we check out the hottest headlines from the Wrap newsroom with T. Bates. There's so much more ahead as American Sunrise continues. Right back.
Welcome to Real America's Voice, Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents
A Kennedy Curse. That is the theme of Angel Studios' newest documentary, RFK Legacy. It comes from acclaimed filmmaker Oliver Stone, director of the hit movie JFK, and his son Sean Stone, in a profile of the Kennedy legacy that you've never seen before.
I want to ask you about your father's assassination.
Anybody who reads that report will understand that Sirhan could not have killed my father.
It's a dirty story.
It explores the Kennedy legacy as told through the eyes of Bobby Kennedy Jr., who reflects upon his life and memories, his time on Cape Cod, his uncle's assassination, his own father's assassination, and his early interest in nature and the environment.
This time you have a drug addiction. How does that play out?
I wanted to be working with nature.
He was appalled at what he saw. This is how he became the leading environmental lawyer in the United States.
There's no right to pollute. The polluter pays.
my views are constantly misrepresented.
This compelling documentary profiles our current Secretary of Health and Human Services and dives deep into why Bobby Kennedy is who he is, why he cares so much about health in this country, and how his family legacy continues even after family members pass on far too soon.
I don't know if there's a curse. We do what we're supposed to do. The outcome's in God's hands.
To see RFK Legacy, go to angel.com/Rav, join the Angel Guild, and watch today.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
A lot of white stuff. That's got to be Hunter Biden's home. I'm sorry, that's Saranac Lake, New York. My bad. Sorry. I really need to stop ad-libbing. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Coming up, to be Glenn or not to be Glenn? That is the question. What am I talking about? I'm talking about B. Glenn, Brian Glenn, standing by with T. Bates. We've got that. It's sponsored, I'll say it, by Newsmax. By Newsmax? What did I just say? AMAC. What?
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Well, President Trump will host his latest cabinet meeting at the White House in just a few hours. Today's meeting, however, comes on the heels of an Oval Office get-together with various cabinet members and other national security leaders on Monday night to discuss future actions related to Venezuela. For more, let's bring in Rav's chief White House correspondent, Brian Glenn. He is live at the White House with the very latest. Brian, it seems to me that the White House is to some degree circling its wagons right now, trying to figure out what to do next with Venezuela. In fact, Brian, it just pops to mind yesterday, Caroline Leavitt spoke about that second boat strike that's related to Venezuela that's also had a lot of people talking. Let's listen to what she had to say, and then we'll talk on the other side. Let's start there.
Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated.
All right, Brian, I wanted to play that because, as I said, it seems to me the White House is circling the wagons. That statement said to me very clearly, okay, we want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, good morning, Terrence. That's exactly what that is. And coming up at 11 o'clock, President Trump will have his latest cabinet meeting, his last cabinet meeting, I should say, of this year. And it's interesting just how many he's had so far opened up to the American media and the foreign press as well. I think it's important to point out. But this will be a hot topic in discussion today. Now, you know, it's interesting that the previous segment talked about perhaps having some closed-door discussions, maybe some open-door discussions on what went down and who authorized what. And I just counter with this. I don't think any narco-terrorists have any second thoughts on killing millions of Americans with their drugs. So why should we have second thoughts on taking out these narco-terrorists any way possible? I think it's really a waste of time for us to have these internal discussions on fighting terrorism, especially that have been killing millions of Americans. But nevertheless, that is what is also on the table today. Ukraine-Russia relations, the end of that war, so much on discussion on this last cabinet meeting of 2025.
So are you expecting that this cabinet meeting, like past cabinet meetings, will be an opportunity for the media to also ask various cabinet members questions? And I asked that question, Brian, because obviously Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will be there. The term war crimes has been tossed around quite a lot. And so I imagine if this meeting opens up to the media, if reporters are allowed to ask questions, he is going to be the focus of so many of those questions.
You're right. And as of right now, that is open to the White House press poll that is credentialed to cover today. So that's an open press event, as well as the 2 p.m. Announcement that President Trump has scheduled in the Oval Office. So to your question, they will ask him that question. I would imagine a lot of the attention will be shifted over to Pete Hegseth. And of course, he is very versed. He's very trained with the media, coming from the media. I think he'll handle himself quite well in this cabinet meeting. But you're absolutely right. A lot of the attention of this cabinet meeting will be about Venezuela and about who authorized what, and if there's any crimes that have been committed. President Trump, Pete Hegseth standing side by side on this issue, and I don't see them wavering at all.
Oh, absolutely. Before I let you go, Brian, any information on this big announcement that's expected this afternoon from the president?
There's a little bit of speculation. I know USA Today had a kind of an exclusive on this. It has to do with the Trump accounts. Now, if you remember months ago, maybe in the early spring, President Trump announced that he was going to have like a savings account for every baby born in this administration starting on a particular day. I think that particular date's coming up in 2026. So I know that Michael Dell has pledged $6 billion to kick off this this savings account for Americans, and President Trump is encouraging other corporations to donate as well, with the federal government matching it, I think, at an amount of $1,000. So if you're expecting parent right now, tune in at 2 o'clock because you might have a really good idea of kicking off the, I guess, generational wealth presented by the Trump administration with these Trump baby accounts.
All right. Brian Glenn reporting for us from the White House. Always good to see you, my friend. Get back inside and get warm.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right, folks, let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation's meteorologist Tracy Anthony joining us live now. By the way, we're going to put up a QR code at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and scan that and join our friends over at Weather Nation. Tracy, good morning to you. So look, the weather story from what I hear is Midwest and the Northeast. We're talking about major snow there. And, you know, I do not like snow, so I'm going to stay away from both of those regions for the next couple of months.
I know, and I heard Denver got their first snow over the weekend, so we had a lot of big winter milestones here over the last couple of days. But yes, this low pressure center, we're going to continue to watch. Notice most of the snow is now into the Northeast, and this is going to be the first widespread plowable snow for the Northeast. So we're bracing for up to about 6 inches in some spots. Notice the higher elevations. That's where we could get some heftier snowfall totals. But this nor'easter will lift up the coast. Coastal areas are going to stay on the more mild side with this system, so it is going to be just rain for them. But once you get inland, that's where the impressive snow will be. Now, we do have another plunge of Arctic air that's going to surge across the nation as we get into Thursday and Friday, breaking some record cold temperatures. And then the king tides and the supermoon also return this week. So definitely lots of active weather from coast to coast, Terrence.
Oh, Tracy, you're such a meteorologist, and you'll see the impressive snow. Ain't nothing impressive about snow, sister girl. Nothing. Anyway. All right, Tracy, thanks so much. By the way, folks, go to our various social media platforms, Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Let us know where you're hanging out, and you might be one of our lucky viewers to get a hometown forecast from Tracy. Hopefully it won't include impressive snow. Up next, we are headed back to Capitol Hill for the very latest from inside Congress. That's coming up. Stick around.
Hi, my name is Tracy Ellis with Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy Ellis with Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rav. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Up 10 Gen Z folks in America, would they be able to tell us what that is? Gosh, I'm hoping it's 10 out of 10, but I don't know. I don't know. Nice little experiments. That's the St. Louis Arch, by the way. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, we're now learning new details in the D.C. shooting of 2 National Guard members. The suspect, brought here in the Biden-Afghan evacuations after working with U.S. intel, is now reported to have felt abandoned by the CIA. Emails are showing years of decline, isolation, instability, erratic moves long before the attack. But look, the reality is simple, everybody. I mean, he should never have been here in the first place. Joining us is Wisconsin Congressman Derrick Van Orden. Congressman, thanks for being here on a Tuesday morning. Look, there are now multiple articles out now dealing with how this guy just couldn't assimilate into America. He couldn't hold a job. There was the language barrier. That was a problem. There were a whole host of other problems. I'm curious to get your thoughts about how the media is kind of spinning this morning as to a guy that had a lot of problems, and that was the reason he decided, allegedly, to murder 2 people.
Well, I have multiple tours in Afghanistan. I know exactly where that guy was trained and who he worked with. And, warfare is a brutal thing. And we've got to understand that sometimes you do carry baggage with you, but that doesn't mean that you get to carry your baggage back to the United States. And this person never should have been here. He should have been vetted, should have had a very thorough psychological screening before he was allowed into this country. And we have to remember that the Afghans were not fighting for us. They were fighting for their own country. And I do appreciate their efforts. I certainly do. But we also need to understand that we have to protect our own citizenry. And having this guy come to the United States and fail in assimilating and then murdering a National Guard person is the classic example of what we should not be doing as a country.
And that's completely logical, Congressman. But talk to us about a media that would take the side of the attacker instead of the victims. Talk to us about what has happened in our media that now every single time, first of all, show me a murderer who doesn't have a bad past. Like you don't have a lot of murderers going around out there who have this perfect childhood, and you don't have even a lot of people out there, by the way, who have a perfect childhood. But this whole let's go right into sympathy for the attacker, that's a new low, isn't it, for media?
Well, I disagree, because they're never high enough to go lower. I mean, the media is the propaganda wing for the Democrat Party, and they will do or say anything to make sure that they can try to undermine President Trump. It's just that simple. I mean, if President Trump said that oxygen was good, there'd be 500,000 Americans in a half an hour walking around with plastic bags over their head. And that's because they've been indoctrinated by the media. Yeah. So the media has no shame. They haven't for a very, very long period of time. And we simply have to stop being surprised by how despicable these people are.
Yeah, he did do a good job getting them to all wear those disgusting masks. And I guess, yeah, and then you got these pregnant women that took Tylenol because President Trump's team said it could be dangerous. So you just, Terrence, I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, T. Bates, I know you got a question, but let me just button this up and just simply say, I mean, how transparent is the media here, FYI, in terms of changing the subject? They don't want to talk about Biden's Afghan policy of what happened. So they've got to do these type of stories and blame it on everything else under the sun. Go ahead, T. Bates.
Yeah. Congressman, so I'm looking at some of your colleagues who sit on the House Armed Services Committee, and on Thursday, they're going to get a briefing relative to that boat strike back in September that's now questionable. And I'm asking you this question because of your military chops, because of your military experience. What are you hearing, or do you have concerns about the way that situation reportedly was carried out? And I say reportedly because we, of course, weren't there. We aren't privy to all of the information. So everything that we're going on here in the public is basically through reports and sourcing. What are your thoughts initially based on the information that you've been privy to?
When the New York Times calls out the Washington Post for being full of hooey, that should say something to you. Now, let me put this in a way that people can readily frame better. If you're on the battlefield and you see a tank and you shoot a javelin missile at that tank and it doesn't destroy the tank completely, regardless if there's members of the crew of the tank hanging off the tank, you launch another missile, period. That's what you do. Warfare is brutal. And if there was a seat cushion from that boat still floating, they should have launched another missile, and then another and another and another. These people are responsible for killing more American citizens than all of the combined casualties of every war we have ever fought since the Revolutionary War. So these are designated terrorists, and they are legitimate military targets. And if there's any bit of floating detritus from a boat, it is still a military target, period.
Incredible perspective.
So what are you expecting to hear Thursday? I'm sorry, guys, I just want to follow up because you also sit on this committee. What are you expecting to hear from this admiral on Thursday? And is there anything that you could hear that potentially would change your perspective on all of this? Or is this pretty clear and cut from your perspective?
Hey, listen, dude, I spent my entire adult life at war, training for war or training other people for war. And war is brutal. And these narco-terrorists, again, have killed more American citizens than all of the casualties we sustained in every war since this country has been in existence. And they deserve no mercy. And that's just where it is. We're going to get an update on Thursday. And if something, jumps out, obviously I'd react to that. But I have the utmost confidence in President Donald J. Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth for executing their duties as outlined in the Constitution of the United States. And again, war is not for everybody, and it's brutal. But these people, think about all of the mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and cousins and, uncles and aunts who have gone to funerals because of these narco terrorists.
Yeah.
That's right.
Where's their due process?
Exactly.
Absolutely. I get it.
Congressman, you're speaking with moral clarity and credibility this morning. We appreciate you and your service to our country.
Absolutely.
My goodness, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are welcome. God bless you and your viewers.
Thank you. God
All
bless
right,
you.
thanks. Appreciate it. Well, great stuff, and so true. Coming up, your health in focus. In moments, find out if the oil that you're using to prepare your meals is leading to obesity. The answer, by the way, most likely yes. The details ahead. Back in a moment.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thank you for joining us. It is time now for today's health news, sponsored by the Wellness Company. But before we get to that, you need to know about a special sale that could help keep some of your hard-earned cash in your pocket and keep your family healthy and safe at the same time. The Wellness Company's Cyber Monday sale, still live, but only until midnight tonight. So it's your once-a-year chance to outsmart Big Pharma and stock up on doctor-formulated wellness at great prices. Save up to 25% statewide, site-wide, including 20% off all emergency kits and memberships. It's the perfect time for holiday shopping and gifting health to the people you love the most. The Wellness Company only drops deals like this one time a year, so give your body the regimen it needs to maintain optimal health as you complete another grateful year of life while sliding into 2026 better than ever. Stay prepared with emergency kits. Stock your cabinet with premium nutraceuticals and check out their membership plans as you plan for your health in 2026. The Wellness Company has everything you need to cyber shop your way to healthy habits. This sale ends tonight, December 2nd. Head to twc.health/RAV for serious cyber savings. Discounts automatically apply at checkout. Shop twc.health/RAV. Give yourself the gift of WellCare. All right, it is time now for a look at our health. And under the microscope today, America's most popular cooking oil may be linked to, among other things, obesity. A new study from University of California, Riverside, suggests a potential link between soybean oil, which many of us know as vegetable oil, and obesity. Now, this study was conducted on mice, and the research indicates that compounds from soybean oil called oxylipins may alter your liver function and promote fat accumulation, suggesting consumers definitely want to consider alternative cooking fats. While the animal studies provide potential concern, further human research, they say, is needed to determine the exact effects, but it's not really. Use the whole stuff. Use tallow, use butter. Don't use fake stuff in your food anymore. We've learned our lesson, haven't we? And it's not just the weight gain that is the problem. There are a myriad of problems that come from using vegetable oils, especially soybean oils, and especially when you heat them. All right. Remember, the Wellness Company's Cyber Monday sale is live until tonight. It is your once a year, I started to say once in a lifetime, almost, chance to outsmart Big Pharma and stock up on doctor-formulated wellness at great prices. Save up to 25% site-wide, including 20% off all emergency kits and memberships. Plus, it's the perfect time for holiday shopping and gifting health to the people you love the most. The sale ends tonight, December 2nd, so get online right now and give it an order, David Brody.
Well, I'll do that. I mean, if you tell me to do it, I'll do it. That's the bottom line. I'll do whatever you want. Yeah, yes, Gina. Yes, Gina. All right. We need to turn our attention now to the recent unrest in Dearborn, Michigan. The city, by the way, and I'm sure you know this, has one of the highest Muslim populations in America. Recently, there have been scenes like this, protests against what some are calling the Islamification of the city. There ended up being clashes, violence with a larger group of Muslim supporters. So the question is, what the heck's going on in Dearborn? For that, we welcome Eric Nesbitt to the show. Eric running to be the next governor of the great state of Michigan. Eric, thanks for being here. So this has been brewing for some time now. I mean, you had the Muslim mayor call a Christian pastor an Islamophobe at a city council meeting. And he also said that that Christian pastor was not welcome in his own city. And we know that Dearborn does the Muslim call to prayer over loudspeakers coming from at least some mosques in the city, and that's done multiple times daily. So what's going on there exactly? Good morning.
Well, this is a failure of the Democrats and the Biden and Whitmer administration and what they've done in terms of their open border process and letting anybody in, and even folks that don't like our country. At the end of the day, President Trump and the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security are fortunately teaming up together to make sure that we're keeping people safe here in Michigan and here in America. That if we're going to make it here in Michigan, if our family's going to make it in Michigan, if our family's going to make it in the United States of America, we got to make sure that we have full vetting going on. You saw that with the National Guardsman that was killed last week in Washington, D.C. in the tragic incident. You saw that a few weeks ago where you had a group of men that were picked up from the FBI, and they rated that they were going to actually do killings over Halloween weekend. And the end of the day, this is about protecting America's homeland and making sure that people, our families, our small business owners, and our kids are safe and secure to be able to make it here in Michigan.
Eric, what can specifically be done in Dearborn, whether it be state and local authorities, also the Trump administration, as it relates to going into Dearborn and trying to figure out who's illegal there, who's up to mischief in those mosques? I mean, I know that's controversial to kind of go into the mosques, if you will, but there's got to be a way to surveil some of what is nefarious activity in Dearborn.
Well, you already see that from Department of Homeland Security. You see that with ICE. You see that with the FBI, that they're looking at who is actually undermining the safety and the security of the American people. As we know, if we're going to be safe and secure.
In Dearborn specifically?
You're seeing that around Dearborn. You're seeing that in Dearborn. You're seeing that around Detroit. Absolutely. Okay. You're seeing that with ICE and DHS and the FBI.
Okay. All right. What would be plans for you as governor to kind of combat what we're seeing? And I know the minute you mention Muslims, all of a sudden you're called this Islamophobe. Give me a break. I mean, we're talking about, I don't care if you're Muslim or you're any other faith. Bottom line is, let's keep our streets safe and let's make sure illegals are not up to nefarious activity. What's your plan, sir?
Well, you need to have a governor that actually joins with President Trump, joins with Kash Patel, joins with the Department of Justice and Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security, to make sure we're protecting our homeland, making sure we're protecting our families, making sure that we're protecting those that are trying to make it here in Michigan. And instead, we got to turn the chapter from what we've seen the last few years under the Biden-Whitmer administration that has had an open border policy. And instead of having a governor that's giving away money to illegal immigrants, that's paying for their legal expenses, that's paying for their housing, that's paying for their food, you got to have a governor that actually joins with President Trump to say we're going to export every criminal illegal alien that's in this state, that's in this nation, to making sure that we're protecting our homeland, that we're protecting our families, that folks are able to make it actually here in Michigan. There's a lot of good people, a lot of good legal immigrants coming over here in Michigan. The end of the day is that the open border process that's happened under the Biden-Harris administration that Governor Whitmer's joined with over the last few years, it needs to end. And fortunately, we have folks like Kristi Noem, we have folks like Kash Patel that are taking the lead to making sure that there are no criminal illegal aliens left in the United States of America.
30 seconds. Does a closer look need to be taken at these mosques specifically? There's a lot of nefarious activity there. That's been documented.
Yeah, end of the day, this is about protecting our homeland and protecting American people. And this is why I have good faith in ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI. And what we've been seeing in terms of just raids and taking out these criminal illegal aliens needs to happen, and it needs to continue to happen as we work to protect our families and the homeland here in the United States of America, and especially here in Michigan. So families.
And that includes mosques. And that includes mosques, is what you're saying?
Oh, it includes everything. We got to make sure. Okay. We got to make sure that we're protecting our families.
Very nice, Eric Nesbitt. Thanks for being here. Good luck in your run for governor. Appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless you. All right. Up next, former CNN anchor and Trump antagonist Jim Acosta, Oy Gavolt. He's at it again, begging the liberal media to do something that is literally just ridiculous. Find out what that is in 2 minutes. Back in a moment, everybody.
Hi, my name is Tracy Ellis from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy Ellis from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Emily Finn. Coffee pods are easy, but most of them are just caffeine and nothing else. Rejuvenate pods are built differently. They're clean pods infused with CAAKG, a compound linked to longevity, metabolism, and deep cellular energy. It's the easiest way to get better focus, smoother energy, and long-term benefits without changing your routine. We choose them because they match our lifestyle that we want. More energy, more clarity, and more intention in how we start our days. If you're going to drink coffee anyway, make it one that actually supports the life that you're building. Head to 1775coffee.com/RAV and try Rejuvenate Pods today. Don't just drink coffee, rejuvenate. All right, now that we are caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And who is woke today? Former CNN host Jim Acosta. Acosta is still on a jihad against President Trump, and now he's making waves again, this time calling on liberal media outlets to collude and boycott coverage of President Trump. Acosta says the press should team up and walk away from the White House until the president, quote, cleans up his act. But critics say this is just more proof that the legacy media would rather silence a president they can't control than report the truth to the American people. The call for a media blackout underscores exactly why so many voters have turned to independent and conservative outlets for honest coverage. We do want to know what you think about this, our viewers. Let us know on Rumble or Getter. Hop on and let your voice be heard. Coming up in our moment of faith, 4 powerful lessons from Abraham Lincoln, what he taught us about gratitude and God. That's all next. And before we go to break, we do want to mention our new RAV Ambassadors program. Here's a little preview.
What if watching Real America's Voice was just the beginning?
Proud to introduce the RAV Ambassadors,
the new grassroots platform that turns viewers into leaders, connecting directly with hosts like Steve Bannon, Dr. Gina, and more.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Inside the RAV Ambassadors Hub, you'll get exclusive updates, challenges, and behind-the-scenes missions straight from the people shaping the fight for faith and freedom. Every action you take, every share, post, and mission earns you points, badges, and ranks. Compete with Patriots nationwide. Unlock rewards, exclusive gear, even chances to appear on air or attend live RAV events. But this isn't just about watching, it's about doing. Joining campaigns, volunteering locally, standing for truth.
This isn't just a fan platform, it's a movement, one voice at a time.
Scan the QR code or go to ravambassadors.com to join now.
Because America's voice is your voice.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
God bless the USA.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's now time for our moment of faith, which is brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, Abraham Lincoln, during the midst of the bloody Civil War, called on the nation to recognize that our blessings from the population growth to liberty are the, quote, gracious gifts of the Most High God. He went on to urge all Americans to respond with sincere gratitude, humble repentance where needed, and to heal the nation's wounds through unity and faith. In a recent article, digital host and journalist for CBN News, Billy Hallowell, reminded viewers that Lincoln's call for gratitude to faith remains deeply relevant for our country even today. Billy joins me now to talk a bit more about that. Billy, welcome. As I read your article and as I've really kind of thought about your thoughts, it seems to me that everything you've laid out really speaks to the tenets of a relationship with God. But beyond that, adhering to those tenets is a testimony to one's own faith.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you think about 1863 in the middle of this horrific war that is threatening to divide the nation permanently. You know, you're not even 100 years out from this new country, and there's so much horrific, horrible things unfolding, and yet Lincoln is turning to God, turning to blessings. And I think about our country today, you know, obviously we have different issues today. We're fighting over different things. We're dealing with totally different monsters that are unfolding in different, you know, facets of our culture and our society. right? And yet the same principles are there. God never changes. And so we can look back at this proclamation and this call for a Thanksgiving, and we can look at the finer points of it, and we can say, wow, these are lessons we can take away and we can actually apply to where we are now. I mean, I think the first thing, looking at the acknowledgement of the source of our blessings. A lot of us are very focused, and I struggle with this too, sometimes on the things that we don't have or the things that we want or the prayers that aren't being answered. But what Lincoln was doing, again, in the midst of the most difficult presidency this nation has ever seen, he was reminding Americans that every good thing, even in a season of war, comes from God, and that gratitude has got to be central no matter what is happening. We're called to pray in every circumstance. We're called to have gratitude really in every circumstance. And so that to me is just the first most powerful reminder that we see there.
Billy, I want to ask you, I guess, a bit of a theoretical question, but the principles you've just stated, they seem to me, from the outside looking in, to span religious divides, to span kind of spiritual divides. Is there a possibility that all of us adhering to these principles, to these ideas, could be a way to unite us?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're all going to have the camps that we're in. I'm a Christian. Other people aren't. But when you talk about things like gratitude, things like recognizing God's sovereignty, it's interesting. I've seen atheists, S.E. Cupp, who is, used to be a conservative commentator. She's an atheist. She had said, look, I wouldn't vote for somebody who's an atheist. I want somebody who's afraid or who has reverence for somebody above them, for a God above them. And so that's interesting to me. But I think not everybody's going to get on board, obviously, with God's sovereignty, but I think that's an important one. But to your more general point, yeah, I think gratitude, kindness, treating others the way you want to be treated, these things at the baseline, understanding, by the way, that we're going to pay a price for the way we behave. The way Lincoln talked about it was God rebuking America, but also showing his mercy, right? There are elements of that I do think span different religions and faiths, and that can unite us around common ground. Everybody wants the same thing for America, right? How do we get there, and how do we treat one another in difficulty and difference in a way that is respectful?
Yeah, policy in my mind should be rooted in human decency. And it seems to me that everything you've described fundamentally comes down to that. It's about human decency. It's about morals.
Yeah, well, and also, yeah, absolutely. And it's about consequence for activity. I mean, America was dealing with a horrific sin of slavery, and it was dealing with the abuse and misuse of people, right? And then trying to correct that and having a war to try to correct that. And really, obviously, that ended the way that it was supposed to, that war. But God still extends his mercy, right? Even in the midst of that. And so to me, there's a message there, regardless of what people believe, about pushing forward for what is right and true and good, and loving others, right? Christians are called to love God, love others. Well, the loving others part of that is incredibly important. And if we were to do that, our culture, our society would be so much better, regardless of what people believe theologically.
Billy, that's a conversation my spirit needed this morning. Good to talk to you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're back with the second hour of American Sunrise right after this.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Hi, my name is Tracy Down from Arizona. I don't speak around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, massive fraud in Minnesota. The New York Times forced to report on billions of dollars worth of fraud involving the Somali community in the state under the watch of Governor Tim Walz. We're going to check in with John Solomon, who completely broke this story, originally reported on the issue, while all the legacy media copies him. He is the OG. Plus, an ultimatum for Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. President Trump has reportedly pressured the Venezuelan leader to give up power in the country as tensions continue to escalate there. We'll have analysis on the developing situation. Also later, our special coverage at the Pentagon continues. We're going to check in with RAV reporters on the ground a little later in the hour. Those stories and more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics. President Trump is joining us live now from Florida. We've got you covered. This is what it looks like to be a patriot. We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm
Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from the deep state. Let's bring in Dr. G. She's in West Palm Beach. T. Bates is in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. Normally, I say something pithy here to get us going. I have nothing, Gina. I have nothing pithy at all. Would you like to say anything pithy?
We have somebody, one of our favorites in our chat, who has both a birthday and an anniversary this week. That is Genghis Khan. And his beautiful wife. I call her Mrs. Jing. So happy anniversary and happy birthday to them. And he would like us to know here in Palm Beach that it is not cold when it is 73 degrees because his car is covered in snow.
Okay. There's your weather. There's your weather on the twos.
Yes.
For you.
Weather on the fly by Gina. That's all I've got.
Look at Gina and Genghis. They're scooping me. I thought I was going to be the only person with a weather toss today. Dr. Gina is scooping me here. All right. There you go. I like it. I'm not mad at it at all, actually. Well, guys, look, the Trump administration facing another legal setback of sorts this morning as a federal appeals court has ruled that Trump-appointed acting U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey, Alina Habba, was illegally given that job. As a result, Habba is disqualified from supervising cases. She served as President Trump's personal lawyer leading up to his re-election. There's still no comment from the White House or the Justice Department on Monday's ruling, though. The family of West Virginia National Guardsman Andrew Wolf is breathing a bit of a sigh of relief this morning. The 24-year-old was shot in the nation's capital last week and has been upgraded from critical to serious condition. While doctors say he is still fighting for his life, they also say he gave the hospital staff treating him a thumbs up on Monday and even wiggled his toes. Meantime, we are still working to get funeral details for 20-year-old specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who was killed in that attack. And new charges could be filed against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James as soon as this week. That's what's being attributed to sources in the Justice Department. You may remember the cases against the duo fell apart last week after a federal judge dismissed the charges, saying the Trump Justice Department violated the Constitution and federal law by appointing Lindsay Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney. Halligan ultimately brought the charges against Comey and James, which were eventually dismissed. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll, of course, have more headlines coming your way shortly. But now, let's get a quick check of your forecast. We're also going to put up a QR code here at the bottom of your screen if you want to join our friends over at Weather Nation. There you have it. Let's get over to Tracy Anthony. Tracy, good morning to you. Any hometown forecast for us this morning?
We do. We've got a handful of hometown forecasts, and I'm going to try to say this properly on air. You know, Terrence, with these hometown forecasts, I'm learning stuff every day as well. But this town, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. I
Let's
don't
roll with
there.
it. Oconomowoc.
Yeah,
sounds
right.
good.
We're gonna go with it. We do have the chance for some snow on Wednesday, but look at this: sub-zero overnight temperatures here as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. This is the cold air that's really going to be felt from the Dakotas all the way through the Great Lakes and even into the Northeast. So this cold front is going to bring the coldest air so far this season. We're talking about wind chill values down around 20, 30 below. Even Sault Ste. Marie. This is from Tex Echo 626. This was his hometown, or where they were born, and they're going to be dealing with a lot of lake effect snow with this brutal cold air coming in from the Arctic. So, Terrence, we've been talking a lot about first snows. I know you've had to deal with it. Denver has more snow in the forecast, but a lot of people are going to be bracing for sub-zero temperatures and sub-zero wind chills by midweek.
No, say it ain't so. More snow in our forecast, really, Tracy? All right, so I'm just going to go on and let you guys know when it snows, if I don't show up to work, it's because of the snow. I'm just telling you right now. It's because of the snow.
And don't blame the messenger.
There you go. And I won't blame the messenger. All right. Thanks so much, Tracy. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And once again, folks, there at the bottom of your screen, you see that QR code. Go ahead and scan it and join our Weather Nation family. All right, let's get you back over to David for a report out of out of Minneapolis. Good morning, David.
Same thing. No, thank you, T. Bates. I'm sorry. That was terrible. Or was it? All right. A massive fraud scandal in Minnesota finally getting mainstream attention from none other than the New York Times, but hang on for a second. It was John Solomon and his team over at Just the News who broke the story well before the Times reported on it. Dozens of people have been charged with felonies for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from a government program meant to keep children fed during the COVID-19 pandemic, all under the oblivious watch of Governor Tim Walz. And we're also learning that Minnesota's Attorney General, Keith Ellison, has allegedly been caught on tape accepting multiple bribes from suspects in the case. Now the Treasury Department says it's investigating that incident, too. Joining us now is the editor-in-chief for JustTheNews.com. That would be John Solomon, who's been reporting on this since 2024 and had some great reporting just a week or so ago. John, you obviously know a lot more about this than anyone at the failing New York Times. Boy, I tell you what, it's a great scoop. And tell us more here, John. Good morning.
Well, listen, this is what the Democratic blue states have been doing. They unleash illegal aliens and immigrants across the border. Then they find ways to allure them to their state with generous benefits. And then they look the other way while those immigrants begin to defraud the program. That is the story of Minnesota. Now, what is the incentive for a state like Minnesota to do that? it is to rig apportionment. If you have more residents in your state, even if they're illegal, they got counted by the census, and you get more federal funds, and eventually you might get more representation in Congress. So this has been a way for blue states to counter the growing red map in America. And in Somalia, according to the prosecutors we've talked to and members of Congress who looked into it, it now looks like about $2 billion of your and ours hard working money, taxpayer money, was stolen in a series of schemes. One of the schemes defrauded a COVID-era food program that was supposed to help people who had no food on the table during COVID. Those are vulnerable victims, and the Somali immigrants who ran this scam defrauded them as well as the taxpayer. Another program involved autism and money that would go to families that had autistic children. There's a Somali doctor charged with giving false diagnoses to families so that they can get those benefits that were meant for families with autistic children. So a widespread systemic scandal. 77 Somali immigrants have already been indicted. That's just in the food scandal. There's 2 or 3 other cases now, and it looks to be one of the largest frauds in recent American history. And the reason it all happens, according to our original reporting back in August of 2024, is that the Walz administration loosened their oversight of this money. The money comes from the federal government, it goes to states. States and local cities run the programs, and the Legislative Audit Bureau and many others who looked at this, members of the state legislature, believe that Tim Walz owns this entire scandal because he simply turned a blind eye to what was very rampant and obvious fraud. It didn't take long for Donald Trump's Justice Department to figure out this fraud once they got on the case back in February.
John, if I can just butt in here, I just want to ask really quickly, do you have similar investigations going with other governors in other blue states?
We are. We're looking at California. We're looking at New York. We're looking at a couple of other places. There's a situation with some New York hospitals and Medicaid that we wrote about last year that it appears the FBI and and Congress is now looking at. Eric Burleson on the Ways and Means Committee. So yeah, we're looking at this. It makes sense when you look at it. Look, when we look at the election map, we have all this red, and then we get the blue cities, and the way that the Democratic Party has been keeping those cities super blue to keep their money, to keep their apportionment, to keep their representation, is to allow illegals in and then lure them to their sanctuary cities. We think, the Democrats portray this as an act of compassion, but in fact, it's an act of politics. It's an act of politics.
It's an act of politics that seems to, at least from the outside looking in, extend into illegalities, even on the parts of lawmakers. Do these investigations, or do you suspect that some of these investigations will actually lead to charges against some of these lawmakers in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, specifically Tim Walz, the lieutenant governor there, and others?
Well, the first thing that's going to happen is that Tim Walz is going to start to lose federal funding, and that will be an extraordinary penalty to the people of Minnesota who elected him, but it's because that's the way the government can quickly punish a governor. So you've seen everybody from the Transportation Department to the Treasury Department put the state on notice that they've so mismanaged this money they may lose their funds. If there's any evidence that these acts were willful or part of a conspiracy to make sure that it was easy for Somali immigrants to take this money, that will be one potential act. You could have a negligence act. You can have a civil act brought against you, so a negligent crime, a crime of negligence, or a civil act brought against the governor or the attorney general if they turned a blind eye. The other thing is that we're looking at 2 other actions. One is there is clear evidence now that some of the money may have made its way all the way to Al-Shabaab in northern Africa, an Al-Qaeda terrorist group. That is actively under investigation by the Treasury Department. And then we had Joe Edlow, the U.S. Citizenship and Naturalization Director, on our show recently. And he said, listen, if you're a Somali and you're in the country and you're either naturalized or you're a green card, and you knowingly and willfully engage in this and you began this fraud before you got your citizenship or while you were a lawful green card resident, we're going to revoke your status and kick you out of the country. And so I would look for the Citizenship Office to begin revoking green cards first and maybe some citizenships. You saw the president get asked a naturalization question the other day. We'll see if that happens, but that's one of the other enforcement actions that are underway right now.
John, are there other groups? We just have about 20 seconds, but are there other groups of immigrants who are perhaps conducting similar frauds, or is this really limited to Somalis?
We're looking at many other places. There's questions about Afghan groups that have helped Afghans resettle in the country. We know that. There's also a lot of nonprofits that just move these illegal aliens to these sanctuary cities, and there's an IRS and Treasury Department investigation looking at some of those groups to whether to revoke their status or not, tax exempt status. So I think we're at the tip of a very large iceberg. It's why we started reporting on this last year. Much more to come, I think, in the next few weeks, quite frankly.
John Solomon, the New York Times worst nightmare. Thank you for being here, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you.
We appreciate you. All right, coming up, a new study has identified the most sinful cities in the country. Well, we got a lot on that list, I would assume. Do you live in one of these cities? Find out when American Sunrise returns in 2 minutes. Stick around, everybody.
My name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice. Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Let's spill some tea.
Welcome back. Let's spill some tea, fueled by Artillery Tea Company, the only America First veteran-owned tea brand. And their mission? To maximize flavor with whole leaf blends and chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. And here's the tactical advantage. Each bag brews twice. Just go to artillerytco.com and use the code RAV for 10% off your first order. Again, that website is artillerytco.com. Premium tea, mission-driven, and brewed for the brave. It is time now to spill some tea, and in the cup this morning, the top 5 most sinful cities in the United States. Number 1 is, no surprise here, Las Vegas, followed by Houston, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. That's according to Wallet Hub's latest study measuring vices like crime, gambling, excessive drinking, and adult entertainment. The ranking is based on 37 metrics spanning 7 categories, including violent crime, excesses and vices, greed, lust, jealousy, vanity, and laziness. A Wallet Hub analyst cautioned that being on the list doesn't necessarily mean a city is irreverent or unreligious, but it rather indicates where vices and illegal or morally questionable behaviors are more widespread. Let's bring in the group for a quick discussion. David, I wonder if Washington, D.C. should have been on that list. What say you?
How could Washington, D.C. not be on this list? Someone explain the metrics. 37? I think they needed 137 because I don't think 37 is enough. So obviously, where's New York City? Hello? Where's New York City? Oh my gosh. And you know, I have nothing else really to say other than the fact that I don't understand the metrics on any of this. Laziness? Okay.
How do you quantify that?
Is that a sin? Yeah, I don't know. If that's a sin, then you know what? Then I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I was with you, like, on some of those metrics. I'm like, how do you actually quantify that? How do you assess that?
Maybe just people who don't work.
I'm just going to add this. I'm going to add one city to this that I'm surprised wasn't there. And I say this because I live there and I work there and I know it very well. Memphis, Tennessee. Of course, there's the current crackdown in Memphis. But Memphis, Tennessee, I'm surprised that it's not higher on that list in the top 5. And I say this because my wife always used to say, how can you have a strip club right across the street from a mega church? And that was pretty common in that city. Like, there would be a mega church and literally across the street, you'd have a strip club. And we would be like, I don't get this. How can you be in the Bible Belt, the so-called Bible Belt, and this is a commonplace thing? So I'm putting Memphis on my list. Sorry, Memphians, but I'm putting you on my list. Go ahead, Dr.
I would suggest that a strip club next to a church is probably a pretty good thing, actually. That's exactly where a church needs to be, and a strip club needs to be. But go ahead, Gina.
This conversation is so interesting. You know, it's funny because my husband, when he was in the Senate, fought gambling in Missouri, and a lot of the storyline from the Ozark series was actually based on the legislation that he fought to pass. And my kids absolutely make fun of him for this. They're like, you know, what's the problem with gambling? We don't understand, because now all the sports betting and all that has become so popular and so monetized. You know, obviously now things like marijuana are, monetized in many, many states and therefore legalized. And so we really have we've degraded ourselves to a whole new level. I'm just going to say it. I mean, I'm not trying to be Pollyannish about this, but I am saying that things that your typical church-going Christian used to think were sinful even 10 or 20 years ago now are widely accepted because they've been monetized. I think it's time to take a step back, look at data, look at research, and ask ourselves, just because we've monetized it, does it really mean that it is no longer sinful? I think it's a good question to ask, and I think this study illuminates some of that.
I like to call that an astute observation.
Yeah. Em, if I can just have the last word here, I think West Palm also needs to be on that list because it's sinful that it's 73 degrees in December. That's sinful. It should not be 73 degrees around Christmas time. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Sunny place for shady people. A lot of reference.
Oh, that was good, Gina. That was good. I don't know. Nice. I think it's only sinful when the iguanas are falling out of the trees. It should not be that cold in West Palm. All right, great discussion, as always, you guys. Coming up, we are headed down to Wall Street for the opening bell and a look at whether Bitcoin is making a comeback or going right back to selling off this morning. We'll be back with more American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
It's Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
Hey
y'all. It's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
Here's a look at Atlanta, which, as you just heard in our last segment, is in the top 5 cities as the most sinful cities out there. Yeah, I can understand that. Typically, if you're at a Waffle House in Atlanta at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you probably know why it might be one of those most sinful cities. Anyway, that's a whole nother lifetime for me. We'll get you updated here on your New York Stock Exchange opening bell in just a little bit. Here's a quick look at how the board is looking at the moment. As you can see, the top is green, the bottom is red. Colorful for the holiday season. Again, we'll take you to New York for the opening bell at the Stock Exchange here in just a few minutes. But now, let's get you over to David. David, good morning.
Well, excuse me for a second, Terrence. Hold on for a quick second. I'd like to preempt Jake's segment today and talk about your Waffle House experience early in life. So please take the next 20 minutes. No, okay, we got to delve into that at some point.
There are good stories there, but yeah, they're probably not right for TV.
Gotcha. That'll be the after-hours version of American Sunrise, everybody. You can tune in after midnight. Okay, gotcha. All right. Time now for our daily dose of dollars and common sense. It is time for Jake Novak. He is the American Sunrise Early Edition host, the guy behind Jake's Takes Substack, and he brings with him his crystal ball that he looked into yesterday. There it is, the imaginary crystal ball. That's very impressive. You look very Houdini-ish. Because you made a prediction about gas. I will let you go. I mean, gasoline, excuse me, not gas, but you know what I'm trying to say. And you predicted something that came true. I'll let you take the victory lap, sir. Go ahead.
I know. I wish I had predicted a Jets Super Bowl victory somewhat. Maybe that'll happen. But yes, I predicted on this program yesterday that gasoline, the national average price for a gallon of regular would go below $3 today. And it has this morning. I kept updating the AAA website, and it did indeed do that. I know a lot of you paying a lot more in some places, a lot less than others. But this is good news. We haven't seen sub $3 national average since the first Trump administration. So this is a great thing.
All right. And by the way, every time I think of gas, I think of the time when I went to Lake Tahoe, and I told you this, it was $6.85 a gallon. I'm like, unbelievable. All right, Jake, let's talk about Bitcoin. That has really been beaten down in the last week or so. Where is it now, and what's going on with this downturn here with Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, it's the hottest trade right now. I mean, whether you're up or down, I mean, you can make money on the movement, but we're up to about $88,000 on Bitcoin right now. Just yesterday it was down to like 81,000, so it's coming back. Long way to go, though. It's more than 30% down from that all-time high of $125,000. And my explanation for this is very simple. I think that when you take a look at something, there's a lot of people who are investors in Bitcoin who aren't like investing it for their 401k or their IRAs, where it just keeps rolling over. These are people who are doing it speculatively, which is, by the way, you need that in a market. I love that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But when they see how much money they made since compared to the beginning of last year, a lot of them are thinking like, okay, this is a good time to take some profits, buy some Christmas gifts, bank some of this stuff, and then we'll buy it back. I think that that's a big reason why this is happening right now. And it's not necessarily because someone woke up this one morning and said, oh, I don't think Bitcoin is as valuable. That's not what's happening. I think you have people, this is not institutional investing. There's more institutional investing in Bitcoin than there used to be, but I still think the bulk of Bitcoin investors are people who are doing it almost like day trading. And that means that when you have a huge rise like that, eventually some people are going to take profits. That's how it works.
Do you still have your crystal ball with you? What do you think about Bitcoin in the future? What's your sense? Mighty Jake, what do you think?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it falls a little bit further in the coming months, but I do think we're going to test those highs. Sometime next year, we'll be back over that $125,000 high. I don't think that that's much of a courageous prediction. There's probably a lot of people laughing at me for making that, but that's what I feel. I think we're going to hit that high again sometime next year. Sure.
All right, fair enough. All right, Jake, it looks like we have a clear front runner to replace Jerome Powell as Fed chair. So who is it, and what would it mean exactly?
Well, it's Ken Hassett, and one of the things that I think about Hassett as a Fed chair that's really different, there's all these people talking about like, oh, well, he'll be closer to the president than anyone else has been before. We don't know that. We don't know that about some of the past Fed chairmen, especially the ones back in the 20s and the 30s. We don't know that. There's a lot of different aspects of it, but for you and me and for everyone watching, this is probably the most the biggest personality we would ever have as a Fed chairman. People like Paul Volcker were interesting and funny, but in a dry, quieter way. Hassett is a real talker. He's a media darling. They trot him out in front of the cameras all the time. I've never experienced a Fed chairman whose voice didn't put me to sleep within 5 seconds. So that, to me, will be the biggest change. And actually, the markets might move more on things he says than the ones in the past because of that. So that's something to look out for.
All right. And so Scott Bessent, not happening there. You don't think Bessent's happening at all, right?
No, I don't think he wants it. It's for some of the reasons that I just said. It's kind of a boring job. It's very important, but it's actually a boring job. Why so many people want it, I'll never know. It is a really boring job.
All right. Jake Novak, great to have you on the show. And where do you get your crystal ball, by the way? And how much did it cost? I'm curious. We got 5 seconds.
I get it at 7-Eleven. By the way, 7-Eleven remains the one retailer I trust the most in the world. I have never not gotten one that I expected when I went into a 7-Eleven. Probably hasn't happened to you either.
I love it. 2 pieces of pizza for $3. I'll take it. All right. Appreciate it. Time to go to T-Bates in Denver for the opening bell, sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
2 pieces of New York pizza for $3. That's highway robbery. That pizza isn't worth anything. Did I just say that out loud? I think I did. All right, we're getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. As you can see, the applause is already underway, which means the bell is going to ring here in short order, and we'll get an idea of how the markets are shaping up to start this day of trading. We showed you pre-market trading, which was somewhat of a mixed bag. Let's see how much things change once the markets officially open here. Immediately, actually. I was going to say momentarily, but the markets are now opening. You hear the opening bell, which means that there are people on the trading floor starting to scurry around and get those first trades, those first sales in. Here's a quick look at our board. As you can see, top to bottom, the very top, the Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ are up right now in the green. The bottom half of our board is in the red, so that gives you an idea of what to expect on this day of trading. Hopefully, the entire board will be in the green by the time this day of trading ends. Well, there are a lot of politicians who should be getting coal in their stocking for Christmas, but the Birch Gold Group thinks as a smart planner, you deserve silver. And that's why for every $5,000 you purchase between now and December 22nd, the Birch Gold Group will send you an ounce of silver, which is up over 60% this year. Smart people diversify and have a hedge, and that's why we encourage you to buy gold from the Birch Gold Group. With the rate cuts from the Fed in 2026, the dollar will be worth less, and not necessarily worth less, but worth less. And what happens if the AI bubble bursts? Well, that's why you may want to consider diversifying. Let the Birch Gold Group help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. For every $5,000 you buy, you'll get an ounce of silver for your stocking or for your kids. What a great way to teach them about saving smartly. In order to qualify, simply text the word America to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility for this offer. Again, text America to the number 989898 today, because the Birch Gold Group's free silver with qualifying purchase promotion ends on December 22nd. Text America to the number 989898. Let's take a quick break. When we come back here on American Sunrise, we're going to be checking in with RAV reporters as the Pentagon welcomes new media to the fold. We're back after this break.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
RAV has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with RAV. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
Hey, y'all. It's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. So good to have you along for the ride, as always, on this Tuesday morning. It's time now to take the political pulse of America. And the beat today, well, it is day 2 of the Pentagon's new media event, the first in-person press event since October's mass walkout that emptied the briefing room of nearly every major news outlet in America. We're talking about reporters from the Associated Press, Reuters, the New York Times, and other household names that turned in their credentials after refusing to sign a new policy there at the Pentagon. The event is being described as the beginning of a new era of the Pentagon's relationship with the media, one that gives access to independent organizations. Joining me now to discuss this and so much more is Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn, and also we've got Benny Ray Harmony, our congressional correspondent. Benny Ray, of course, is at Congress. Brian is at the White House. Brian, I want to start with you because you are one of the newly credentialed Pentagon reporters. Talk about these new rules that you've signed and agreed to, and how different, if you will, is the atmosphere at the Pentagon now in this new era, if you will.
Well, good morning. It was certainly less people there yesterday than as normal as those new rules kicked in October of this year, and many reporters, many networks choosing to kind of dip out of that. Now, as far as the biggest changes is that before you publish or push out an article, it must go through, I guess, a review system and have the administration approve of what you're going to push out. And a lot of critics and I think wisely so say that does violate their First Amendment right in order to report stuff. But that's certainly one of the biggest changes. And we saw, Fox, CNN, and other media outlets simply not agreeing to that and walking out. And certainly, I think they have every right to question those new rules put in place. But yesterday, was able to go through the credentialing process, get everything cleared there. I had a transition back over here to the White House, so I was not able to stay all day. I know Steve Gruber was there in that main briefing room doing a show. So it looks like, great coverage from a television aspect that we've never been there before. And I will add this, I'm in the briefing room right now. A little bit of changes they implemented here. Right behind me is the door that goes to what they describe as lower press and also goes up to upper press. Now, upper press is where you have Carolyn Leavitt's office, Stephen Chung's office. Now, before the changes, you could simply go through the doors and maybe dip in their office for a quick impromptu chat. Now you have to have an appointment to go up to upper press. That's one of the changes they've made here, and that's to try to eliminate, I guess, a lot of reporters just kind of wandering around the halls up there. But nevertheless, changes there at the Pentagon, changes here at the White House.
Benny Ray, let's talk about Congress. What's happening there today and really over the next couple of weeks before members of Congress leave for Christmas vacation? Obviously, the budget has got to be front and center, but you don't hear a lot of people talking about the budget right now. Venezuela seems to kind of be having captured the imagination of most people who are watching what's happening there at Congress.
Exactly, Terrence. Yeah, so we are here today at the New Media Row here in the Cannon office building, and this room is full of your independent journalists, your journalists that really get the attention. You know, we are in a time where mainstream and legacy media, they are dead, and people get their news from independent sources like the people in this room. We have Salem, we have Lindell TV, we have OAN, and so many other incredible organizations here. And yes, like you said, you know, this budget thing is coming up very, very fast. We are approaching another potential government shutdown at the end of January. And so it seems, though, that is not the big topic of conversation that we're seeing. It goes back to Venezuela, and especially ever since the Hegseth news just yesterday, some of the legacy media was going crazy about, you know, him killing and bombing some of these narco-terrorist boats that we are seeing off our coast. And so Venezuela is a massive topic right now, but Terrence, there's a reason it's a major topic, because it truly does threaten our national security, and it's one of the biggest topics with ICE and with what we are doing with immigration in our country. The country Venezuela is just huge because of the narco-terrorists in that country and because of Maduro and what's happening. And truly, if we want to look at it from an outside view, if we want to talk about spending, we need to make sure that our homeland is safe, and we need to make sure that we are not under threat. And so I think right now that potential threat abroad is what is really, really putting people on their toes, and they feel like that is what they need to focus on right now.
Benny Ray, you touched on that September 2nd, boat bombing, in which there were basically two bombings of an attack. The words war crimes have been used. Democrats, for the most part, are using them, but there is going to be a briefing on Thursday there on Capitol Hill for both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees. What's the buzz relative to that briefing and relative to what may come out of that?
Listen, Terrence, I think members on both sides, I think they agree on the fact that we have to protect America. And Pete Hegseth, he did what the defense did what they felt was necessary. And Caroline Leavitt yesterday in her press briefing, Brian Glenn and I were in there, she point blank said that Hegseth did nothing wrong, and that it is their job to kill these individuals, and it is their job to take them out if they feel they are going to put America in danger. And, you know, at the end of the day, America is the topic, right? America is what both sides want. They just have their own viewpoints on that. But I think that with this press conference and with this stuff coming up, we are going to see members from both sides come together to protect this nation. You know, we may not agree on everything, but we all want America, and we all want an America that we can live in. And, yeah, so I truthfully don't think Hegseth did anything wrong. It was in their arsenal to protect America, and that's exactly what they did, and the White House stands behind them on that. President Trump also released a statement, I believe, was it a couple days ago, where he said he has full faith in Hegseth, and he believes in Hegseth and believes that he did not commit any crime in his actions.
Brian, there at the White House, is this boat story seen as somewhat of a distraction from all the other work that needs to happen? And I asked that question in light of President Trump coming out pretty forcefully and saying that Nicolas Maduro, the head of Venezuela, probably needs to be leaving here. In short, I guess if you really want to be honest about it, we're talking a regime change.
Yeah, I think it is somewhat of a regime change, and of course that will dominate the topic here at about 11 o'clock when that cabinet meeting, President Trump's last cabinet meeting of this year. I expect that topic to be on the table multiple times, asked from different angles on that. But that has been, I think, what some would describe as a distraction for all the other things that are happening in the U.S. in a good and positive way. President Trump often claiming things that distract the American people from all the good that's happening in the economy and things like that, which, by the way, the Black Friday sales were up 9.1% over last year. So online spending was huge. That was one of the topics I was going to ask Karen Leavitt in the press conference yesterday. But, yeah, I do expect that meeting does take place at 11 o'clock in the cabinet room. We'll have full coverage right here on Real America's Voice. Terrence?
I'm glad you brought up that cabinet meeting because if I remember correctly, the last cabinet meeting President Trump held was somewhat of a victory lap. Each of the secretaries talked about the successes that they've achieved over this last 9-10 months or so. I guess so we're really coming up on, 11 months or so. Are you expecting much of the same today? Is this going to be a victory lap, particularly since it's the last cabinet meeting of the year? Will this be an opportunity to really tout all of what this administration has been able to accomplish?
Yeah, I was talking to some of my colleagues here in the room about that cabinet meeting. Will it go 3 hours? I know I wasn't in there that particular day. It went 3 hours, but this could be some sort of a wrap up for each department. Agriculture, what they've done with the price of food. You can have to get transportation, all the challenges they had, especially during the shutdown. So I do see this running a little bit longer than normal, as they all want to have their 5 to 10 minute platform there in front of the world to tell the president and everyone else exactly what their cabinet has done for the American people. So, might want to grab the popcorn and grab a couple extra Diet Cokes, because this one might take a little bit, but we'll be in there starting at 11 o'clock here Eastern.
Brian, I need all the sugar. No Diet Cokes for me. I'm going with the straight hard stuff there, but that's a whole nother story. Benny Ray, before we let you go.
With the Diet Coke now.
Okay, I get it. I probably should be healthier, but I'm not. Benny Ray, before we let you go, run through what the next couple of weeks is going to look like there on Capitol Hill. As we kind of said, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and we're just not hearing, at least maybe I'm just not privy to it, I don't feel like we're hearing much about all of the work that's on the table.
No, Terrence, and I am the congressional reporter, and I have yet to hear about a lot of this stuff. I think the major focus right now is some of this new media stuff that is happening. And so once we get through today, we will have a better outlook as to what to expect these next couple weeks. But like you said, expect foreign affairs, expect the arms committees to be meeting to talk about defense, to talk about, the actions made by the Trump administration and the pros and cons. Expect very heavy foreign affairs and also spending. But we did mention before we went on holiday last week, Terrence, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were subpoenaed to come to Congress on December 17th and 18th, I believe. And so there's going to be a mixture of a lot of different topics we're talking about because of how long that shutdown was. Everyone is playing catch up. So I will have a better in-depth knowledge of some of these bills that will be coming to the floor once we wrap up today. But like I said, expect that foreign affairs and spending to be top priority.
BRB, Benny Ray and Brian, we appreciate both of you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Terrence.
Thanks, Terrence.
Of course. I like that. BRB, and we will BRB. Coming up, though, it is not just men who have to worry about losing their hair. Of course, they would put this story on me. Now, new scientific breakthroughs are helping women across the country fight back against losing their precious locks as well. First, though, here's a quick look at what you're getting when you join the Rav Ambassador. Really? Y'all, really? You gonna do a close-up? We doing that? Look, there's a little hair right there. There's a little bit. Anyway, Rav Ambassadors.
What if watching Real America's Voice was just the beginning? Introducing Rav Ambassadors, the new grassroots platform that turns viewers into leaders, connecting directly with hosts like Steve Bannon, Dr. Gina, and more.
Together, we're turning belief into action.
Inside the Rav Ambassadors Hub, you'll get exclusive updates, challenges, and behind-the-scenes missions straight from the people shaping the fight for faith and freedom. Every action you take, every share, post, and mission earns you points, badges, and ranks. Compete with Patriots nationwide. Unlock rewards, exclusive gear, even chances to appear on air or attend live Rav events. But this isn't just about watching, it's about doing. Joining campaigns, volunteering locally, standing for truth. Together, we're not just a network, we're a movement.
One voice at a time.
Scan the QR code or go to ravambassadors.com to join now.
Because America's voice is your voice.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
this is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with RAV. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Mama Love in northern Minnesota. You know, a collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
Hey, y'all. It's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a rainy day on the streets of Philadelphia there. Kind of makes me want to sing, but instead of that, I'm just going to welcome you back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. There were 60 million Americans suffering from hair loss, and it's not just men, by the way. More than 65% of American men will have hair loss in various degrees by age 35. More than 50% of women may experience some hair loss in the postmenopausal period. Today, we have with us Dr. Robin Smith, a regenerative medicine expert, to talk about what people can do to address hair thinning, hair loss, breakage, also an issue, and to share with us how exosomes are becoming a new treatment that people are just loving. Welcome to the show again, Doctor. You know, I love what you're doing. This new medicine, I look at boxes and shelves full of lotions and potions and creams that I have that are just, they've become irrelevant to me, because now that I have discovered what you have done, this is next generation. This mixes really nutraceuticals with medicines, with skincare, and with hair care. Let's start with the foundationals. Doctor, what is the difference between exosomes and peptides?
So peptides are amino acids that give a precise signal to help building blocks. They're large, so they don't go deep. They work at the surface, and they work very quickly, but it's short acting. Exosomes, on the other hand, are these cargo of goodies that have all kinds of ingredients and instructions, and they're like a multi-functional toolkit. They support regeneration. They kickstart the repair and the remodeling process of our skin and our, hair growth cycles. And they really are small, so they go deep and work at the cellular level, giving you a more lasting results.
So do you use both in the same product sometimes?
Yeah, it's really exciting. So we have a couple of products that use both the exosomes, so you get that longer term repair, as well as short acting peptides. And so we have a hair product called ExoFortify, which is amazing. It has exosomes and peptides that regenerate, strengthen, hydrate, detoxify, and fortify our hair. And by doing all of this with the phytochemicals and the phytonutrients, vitamins and minerals, you really regenerate and awaken those hair follicles and the scalp environment, so that you can promote healthy hair growth in the normal cycle, as well as densification of the hair strands, increasing the appearance of that thicker hair.
I know we talked about postmenopausal hair loss in women. Of course, men, have a sort of almost a menopausal phase where their hair begins to thin as testosterone begins to deplete. But when I experienced hair thinning was after my pregnancies, and I just want to know, do the hair products work also for post-pregnancy, postpartum hair thinning?
Absolutely. It's a great question. Any of those shifts in hormones can affect our hair, and anything that we can do to help stimulate that growth is key. It can be pregnancy. It can be, things like surgery, anesthesia, changes in diet. There's a whole host of things that affect our hair loss, even stress.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that I started using these products, a couple of months ago. I get questions everywhere I go. My hair is literally out of control. It is growing so much from your products that it's almost too thick, if there's such a thing. I'm not sure how to style it anymore because I just have so much hair. Not a problem I'm going to complain about, though, doctor. And that everywhere I go, people say, did you get work done? No, I didn't. I started using these products. What's your favorite product, though, doctor?
So my favorite is one we just launched. It's called ExoEye, and this is it's a revitalizing eye balm that has exosomes as well as peptides and other ingredients that not only help stimulate the collagen and the elastin and that firmness of the skin, but it reduces the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, wrinkles, and that eye puffiness and that fluid retention that we get. Yeah. And it immediately helps rebalance that dark area of the eye. Mm-hmm. It has NAD in it, so it's also a powerhouse of energy that helps repair. And so, our eyes are an area where it's hard to hide our age. The skin is thin. We lose our elasticity from the elastin. And so we're really excited about that product. I can't wait for you to use it and try it.
Well, and let me tell you, as someone who gets up for a morning show, that is exactly what I need. But my other favorite thing, and I have to let you go, but I just want to compliment the night products, the lip product, the vitamin C. I use all that before bed, and my skin just feels so good when I wake up in the morning. Dr. Robin Smith, you have revolutionized medicine and skincare in this country. I personally am so thankful for your products, and thanks for being with us again and telling us more about it.
Of course, and we have a 25% discount for you guys, so your listeners and viewers can give it a try.
Yes, please do. And there's the QR code right there. Get your own Exoceuticals. I'm telling you what, guys, life-changing for you as the new year approaches. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. All right. Coming up, I'm going to be joined by some members of my family, my very own baby daughter and my son, to talk about their new upcoming children's book and Sammy's Socks, a new line of socks that Sammy has launched for the Christmas season. I'm excited to tell you more about it. And we'll be back with you with more American Sunrise in just 2 minutes.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Mama Love in northern Minnesota. A collective voice is much louder than a single voice. Thanks, Rav, for giving us a place to chat and connect. See y'all in chat.
Hey, y'all. It's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today's Sunny Side Up, a little nice, sweet moment that I want to thank our RAV team for our family. Many of you know how God brought my son Samuel to us, a tiny boy. The world doubted, but God didn't. His sister Lily, when she was about 10 years old, just wrote this little book, brought it to me one day, called How Sammy Sees the World. This is a book about love, joy, and seeing life the way Sammy does, and she wrote this when she was just 10. So joining us, my daughter Lily Love, and my son Sam, who shares that same big, beautiful heart. Lily, you wrote the book when you were 10 years old. This means so much to us. We sat down one day at the dinner table, like we will often, and talked about how maybe the rest of the world would like to see a little bit about your experience being the adoptive sister of Samuel. Tell us.
Well, from my understanding as a kid, you know, there was a lot of just like not everybody knows about kids with Down syndrome, and I kind of fell into that a little bit too, and I just didn't really know. You know, I thought people think it's kind of a bad thing, maybe like a hush topic or something. Mm-hmm. And I wanted people, once I was we were raising Sammy, and I saw what a joy he was to the world and how special he was. I was like, people need to know this, and I think Sammy needs to know this, and our family, and I just wanted to highlight that when I wrote it, and I just wanted people to realize how Sammy sees the world, that it's actually the way everybody else should see the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, your book pre-launched on Amazon. It is up on Amazon right now, and along with it, in the book you'll see, which by the way is illustrated by Mike Sofka, your favorite illustrator from your childhood from VeggieTales, and in it is also Sammy's socks, which he has made available with a portion of the proceeds going to support families who want to adopt children like Sam. Sammy'sSocks.com. You can get both the book and the socks there, or on Amazon on pre-sale, as I said. You guys, War Room is up next. Hug your children. Love God. Go boldly now. Live the truth.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to?